Laborers worked under harsh orders while Choi Hyun-suk carried a goblin commander and felt a whip cut into his back. He remembered his past as the strongest man in the world and a champion fighter, but he had died in a truck accident and lost all his savings. He cried, felt angry, and slowly accepted his death, realizing he had no family or friends. A bright light appeared, and a fairy named Rahel introduced herself as a headhunter for those whose time on Earth had ended. She offered him two choices: accept death or be resurrected as a hero to save another world. Choi was shocked and asked for time, but Rahel refused and tempted him with fame, honor, beauty, and rewards, including a feast and a village chief's daughter. Choi stayed calm, and when Rahel threatened to leave, he finally agreed to become a hero. She sent him away immediately, reporting that he had been safely transported. Choi woke in a dark room, expecting a normal start, but was punched in the chest by a goblin who mocked him for sleeping in the slave quarters and doubted his hero status. Choi was confused but decided this must be part of a tutorial quest and accepted it as his only option. The goblin got angry at Choi and shouted at him. Choi kicked the goblin and called him tutorial trash, but the goblin caught his leg, mocked him, and knocked him out, saying a long sleep would make him come to his senses. Choi woke up in an underground prison and banged on the door, but another goblin threatened him and made him stay quiet. He felt cold, miserable, and feared dying without achieving anything. A voice from another cell called itself a senior hero and explained that they were in the Demon King fortress where human slaves were kept. Choi realized something had gone wrong and that Rahel had made a mistake. He continued working as a slave, carrying a commander and shouting battle cries, but thought being locked up was better than working outside. Later a screen appeared and his status window showed real numbers. The senior was shocked that Choi had high health and strength at level 1 and praised his past as a champion. Choi felt hopeless, unable to see a way to escape. Late at night, while the guards slept, Choi noticed magic that gave superhuman strength and something called hero points. He asked the senior about them, and then Rahel appeared to explain hero points. Angel Rahel explained that hero points were useful and earned through quests. Choi ignored her words and reacted with cold anger, showing no interest in being a hero. Later Rahel was punished and hung by a string after breaking a magic circuit by mistake. Choi learned that his punishment was having Rahel assigned as his fairy until the Demon King was defeated. He refused the role and said he only wanted a normal life without fighting. Rahel realized he was not the man she thought he was and felt confused about herself. She remembered being forced by the Divine King to serve Choi and being sent to the Demon King's fortress against her will. Choi said that as his assigned fairy she had to obey him and follow his escape plan, and Rahel agreed. He grabbed her again, but a goblin appeared and summoned him in Raedron's name. They were taken to Raedron's office, where the captain praised Choi's hard work and offered him the role of slave master to raise productivity. Rahel panicked and begged him to refuse, but Choi shocked her by accepting the job with enthusiasm. The captain grew pleased and hinted at future enlistment in the Demon King's forces. A few days later Choi harshly commanded the slaves to work faster, and the system announced that his hidden charisma skill had increased. Choi celebrated the role, while Rahel warned him that it was becoming dangerous. Choi claimed it was all part of becoming a true hero and continued pushing the workers. The system then showed that Raedron's favorability had risen close to the goal. Rahel yelled at him for betraying his plan to escape, but Choi said he was only following what the hero system ordered. Rahel argued that gaining favor with the Demon King's lackey made no sense for a hero, yet Choi insisted the system message was real. Rahel felt uneasy and said that even the wording of the message felt wrong, but Choi brushed it off, leaving her deeply troubled. Last night Rahel shouted in shock after Choi accepted the offer, but he calmly said his way was simply insane. A hero quest message appeared, explaining that he had ended up in the Demon King's fortress by mistake and must gain Raedron's favor by using the enemy. Choi was confused by the quest, yet in the present he loudly ordered the slaves to sing the army anthem. Rahel wondered why such a strange quest had been given to him and felt that someone powerful had changed it. Jack soon summoned Choi to Raedron's office, where the captain praised the improved work efficiency. Choi humbly gave all credit to Raedron, and the system announced that the favor goal was reached, the quest was complete, and hero points and the basic hero shop were unlocked. Choi realized the plan had worked and immediately moved to the next step. He asked permission to train the slaves into an efficient force, and Raedron allowed it despite concerns for human limits. Rahel despaired and thought Choi had completely lost his mind, but he silenced her and revealed his real plan. He intended to train the slaves to start a revolt, overwhelm the Demon King's forces with numbers, and call for help from a nearby human coalition. Rahel was shocked and impressed by his strategy. Choi then focused on the hero points earned from the quest, and Rahel confirmed that the quest had truly been real. Choi said the hero's shop was now open and hoped it would become their lifeline as he opened the window. Choi felt excited at first, thinking he had finally found a hero-worthy skill, but the shop only showed useless abilities like holding breath and daily chores. He complained that none of them suited a hero, while Rahel explained it was because the shop was only level 1. Choi lost his temper and accused her of scamming him. Later all the human slaves gathered as Choi ordered them to sing the third core anthem, and they loudly praised the Demon King together. Raedron watched from his office and felt that allowing the training had been the right choice. Suddenly Jack rushed in with urgent news that the human army was advancing and that the 8th Division had already been defeated in an ambush. Raedron realized the fortress was in danger, and that retreat might be unavoidable. Jack urged him to flee at once, but Raedron calmly chose to secure his key personnel first and decided to gather Choi before leaving. On the ground, Choi thought the poor planning had ruined combat training again and that his growth was still far from enough for revolt. He wished for a sudden chance to grow stronger. At that moment Raedron landed beside him and ordered him to leave immediately. Before they could move, the human leader shouted an attack order, and the human army charged forward with spears as battle suddenly broke out against the goblins. The human army recognized Raedron as the Red Nightmare and ordered ordinary soldiers to retreat while knights moved in together. Choi was shocked by the humans' arrival but quickly thought it could be his chance to return to human society. A human attacked Raedron, but Raedron blocked the strike and slammed the attacker into the ground, shaking the area. He checked on Choi, who smiled and said he would move right away. The human army then questioned the slaves and separated those who called themselves heroes. The so-called heroes were taken away and welcomed by a commander named Olaven Grimir. After the civilians were transferred, the commander ordered his soldiers to take positions and announced the annihilation of the heroes. The scene shifted to moving carriages, where Choi believed his otherworld life and second chance were ending. He thought the powerful man had defeated all pursuers, leaving no one chasing them. Rahel tried to wake him up and urged him to see the crisis as an opportunity and return to the Demon King's army to assess the situation. Raedron sat in front of Choi and asked what he had said, but Choi quickly denied it and praised Raedron instead. Raedron smiled and said he would formally enlist Choi once they reached the 3rd Corps headquarters. Choi accepted with exaggerated honor. Later they returned to the castle, where servants opened the gates for Raedron. He led Choi toward the Corps commander and warned him to behave or die. Choi encouraged himself to stay sharp and survive. They soon stood before a door, announced their arrival, and were allowed to enter, where the Corps commander greeted Raedron upon his return. The commander recognized Raedron and said he looked more imposing than before. Raedron praised her beauty and apologized for failing to protect the fortress, but she blamed the foolish 8th Division commander instead. Choi felt like he could not breathe under the pressure. The commander mocked a defeated soldier for returning alive and asked who the human beside him was. Raedron introduced Choi Hyun-suk as a talent he wanted to enlist in the Demon King's army. The commander found Choi cute but doubted his weak body, while Choi loudly promised he would do his best. Raedron admitted the danger but asked to train him, which she rejected. She then revealed a terrifying dog from her mouth and assigned Choi as its caretaker, naming it Bobo. Choi respectfully accepted the role and honored the dog. The commander approved and warned him to feed Bobo well since it often ate its caretakers. The scene moved to Bobo's house where Angel was shocked by a new hero quest. Choi told her to keep her voice down or she would wake Bobo and thought about how he had to win over the commander's pet. Jack, a goblin, appeared and called Choi human. Choi bowed and introduced himself while thinking that goblins treated him like dog food. Jack explained that all other senior caretakers were dead and that he and Choi would prepare Bobo's meals from now on. When Bobo appeared, Jack shouted at Choi, and Choi threw Jack toward the dog to distract him. Later Bobo chased Angel and Choi used a bone from his inventory to calm him. Angel praised him for finding the item, and Choi thought the quest would be easy but considered finding fresh meat for Bobo. They went for a walk in the streets, but Choi and Angel did not know where the kitchen was. Choi asked the goblin for directions and explained he was taking care of Bobo. The goblin told him to go left. Choi wondered why the goblin was scared and thought getting the meat would finish the task. Angel joked about him spending his life cleaning after a dog, and Choi talked about his dream of marrying a blonde noblewoman. Suddenly he realized Bobo had gone missing and shouted in panic. Choi yelled at Bobo for causing trouble the moment he looked away. Angel pointed out a hero nearby. Choi called Bobo back and the dog ran to him. Suddenly someone shouted that Captain Regis was dead, and Angel suspected Bobo. They started running as Angel panicked about dying. Choi told her to be quiet and just run. Goblins caught them and threatened to eat them, but Choi defended Bobo, introducing him as Brave. The goblins doubted Bobo at first, but Choi activated his smirk and told Bobo to attack. Bobo devoured a goblin, terrifying the others, who then bowed and apologized. A message appeared showing Choi had gained charisma for subduing members of the Demon King's army. Choi wondered if it counted as his achievement. Commander Hemis arrived, asking why there was so much noise, and remarked that the newbie was causing trouble. Later in Hemis's office, she asked if he survived by relying on Bobo, and Choi bowed, admitting he had committed a grave sin. Commander Hemis praised Choi for being clever and brave, unlike most humans, and noted the Demon King's army often relied on brute force. She asked if he wanted to become an executive but said it was too soon. She explained a system called the decision match where he could challenge others for rank. She offered to protect him for a month if he won a match she chose, and each win would extend his protection. Choi asked what would happen if he lost, and she warned he would regret it. Later, Choi, exhausted, thought he had accepted to avoid being killed but did not expect an immediate duel. Angel said she would part ways with him in a month. Choi complained about potential not being guaranteed power. He arrived at the kitchen, suspecting the blood stains were normal, and met the goblin chef Kulkin. Choi asked for snacks for Bobo, but the chef refused, saying Hemis ordered to leave him alone. Choi asked for an exception, and Kulkin said he could hunt for meat himself like the other goblins, who looked more like butchers than cooks. Choi wondered what that meant. Choi faced a huge animal and thought about how reckless the hunting was and how dangerous it was for him. Angel asked if they should run, but Choi said dodging through the crowd would be too risky and it might be better to act. The chef called him human, and Choi said he would charge forward, but the chef told him the first hunt was already over. Choi wondered how the chef managed after taking so much damage. A goblin reported 12 dead and many wounded, and Choi thought the losses were still too high. The chef praised the effort and said they would rest before the next target. Choi told Angel he decided to cancel the escape plan, surprising her. He explained that experience could be gained by landing the final blow, even if it was a cheap way. Angel agreed it was possible but noted it was not ideal. Choi resolved to get stronger before the end of the month. The chef noticed Choi had returned and was surprised he had not run away. Choi announced he had decided to join the Demon King's army in combat, wondering if he had gone too far. The chef laughed and said his boldness was likable. Choi credited the chef for his courage. The chef offered him the lead on the next hunt, normally reserved for veterans, but made an exception for Choi. Choi hesitated, worried other kitchen hands might complain. Suddenly a goblin shouted about a monster attack. The chef recognized the urine pack and prepared everyone to hunt it for stew. Choi saw this as a chance to land the final blow. Angel gave him a health boost, and Choi eagerly accepted it. He rushed in, thinking of protecting a golden-haired noble lady and children, and punched the monster. A message appeared showing the urine was slain and he leveled up. Choi was amazed at gaining 4 levels from a single final blow, and realized he could get much stronger. He continued landing final blows on other monsters, laughing as he claimed all the final blows for himself. After the hunt, Angel asked if it was really over. Choi said the monsters were all caught, and it was time to go back. Goblins laughed, and ate meat while the chef put a hand on Choi's shoulder. Choi was startled and asked if it was okay to eat military food. The chef explained it was a chef's privilege, and that delicious meat made life worthwhile, telling Choi he deserved to eat after fighting. Choi thought about how kitchen hands risked their lives for such bland meat, and dreamed of winning them over and becoming the god of chefs. He raised his hand and opened the hero shop, using his remaining hero points to buy a cooking skill and seasoning salt. Angel asked what he bought, and Choi thought about showing the foolish demons the pinnacle of South Korean cuisine. A screen appeared confirming he had purchased the cooking skill and seasoning. Angel was surprised Choi had spent so many points on just salt. Choi explained that the salt would bring out the meat's full flavor and aimed to impress. He served the meat to Chef Kulkin, who initially declined but then took a bite and was reminded of his childhood, crying with emotion. Choi thanked the chef for the meat, and was told it would stay fresh for 2 days. Later, Choi returned to Bobo's home and fed the dog, promising to hunt more if needed. Bobo's affection increased, completing the hero quest and earning Choi 200 hero points. Choi celebrated completing the quest and mentioned he had accumulated bonus points. Angel reminded him they were for raising his stats. Choi complained that no tutorial had been given, and Angel explained that bonus points could be distributed among strength, stamina, agility, and magic, while charisma was a hidden attribute. Choi preferred putting everything into strength, but Angel insisted magic would be more valuable later. She told him to learn basic magic control for 100 hero points, but the skill was missing from the store, frustrating Choi. 3 weeks later, Choi finally reached level 100 after much effort. He complained about nearly dying many times, while Angel reminded him it usually took half a year to reach that level. Jack arrived, calling Choi the Beast Handler, and told him the Corps commander had summoned him. Choi Hyun-suk entered the Hemis office. The commander welcomed him and said he looked stronger, and his magic power had doubled. Choi said it was because he fed Bobo fresh meat every day. She asked if his rapid growth was due to the hero's leveling system. Choi was surprised that she knew he was a hero. She said she had known from their first meeting and mentioned a maniac who knew about heroes. She explained she called him for a duel. Choi asked if it was a duel, and she confirmed. She scolded him for being relaxed despite his abnormal growth, and warned him to try harder for her enjoyment. Choi thought about how spectators liked unexpected twists, and realized he would lose if he stayed as he was. Angel panicked and asked if they would die. Choi said he had a plan and needed to know their opponent's strength and skills. She worried they only knew her name. Choi showed the power level checker from the hero store and explained it gave a rough estimate of power. He planned to practice against a similar level chef. She called him a master of petty tactics. Choi put on the glasses and checked her power level. It showed 375. She asked if that was high or low and offered to check his too. Choi gave her the glasses. She tried but said the device seemed broken. Angel Rahel doubted Choi's strength and said he might just be too weak. Choi wore the glasses and said even Rahel had at least 10,000 a few months ago, so the device was fine. He checked their guard dog and said they were both weaker than it. Angel read the dog's power as 47,422. Later Choi walked through the streets and decided to check the levels of others. He found goblins with levels of 960, 1,620, 1,350, and 231. He said the rest were about the same as him and thought anyone over 10,000 was commander level. He asked if he was supposed to fight the squad leader. Angel said yes and named him Kirkin, an orc with a pig head. Choi guessed squad leaders had combat power around 3,000 and saw a huge monster with 6,671. Angel said it was impossible, and they just wanted her to die. The hero quest appeared, saying his chances against the muscle pig were near zero but offered a goal to reach combat power 3,000 in a week for 300 hero points. Choi thought the timing was perfect and decided to do or die. The next morning he arrived at the kitchen and announced he was there. The chef welcomed Hyun-suk and asked about his unusual helmet. Choi said he got it after seeing another senior wearing one. The chef asked if it was trendy and told him to get ready for the hunt. Choi checked the chef's level and was shocked it was 35,230, much higher than a normal company commander. He realized the kitchen squad had higher combat power because they fought monsters. Choi decided to fight someone with power similar to Kirkin to gauge his level and requested a sparring match with a kitchen soldier. The chef warned him he was already strong and did not need to rush. Choi said he would eat all the roast meat if refused. The chef agreed and asked who he wanted to fight. Later, goblins were shocked that Hyun-suk was fighting Gulbakum and feared he would die. The chef ordered them to be quiet and told Gulbakum not to kill Hyun-suk but just take it easy. Gulbakum nodded in understanding. The chef started the sparring match. Choi rushed forward, dodged Gulbakum's punch, and kicked him in the face. He thought he had won easily as he had in the past. Goblins murmured in shock at how fast Gulbakum lost. Choi was surprised a single kick knocked him out and realized he might have a chance in the duel. Later in the northern Black Star, Great Forest, Choi thought defeating an orc with double the combat power proved numbers were not everything. He could win if he kept getting stronger. A goblin warned the chef about many Tala's cubs ahead. The chef explained Tala's meat was tasty but the creatures were dangerous because of their strong maternal instincts. He ordered everyone to attack and make Tala's stew. Goblins shouted while attacking. Choi bumped into a goblin and thought this was his chance for experience points. He delivered the final blow and leveled up. Angel praised him for stealing the kill smoothly. Choi said this was why he loved working in the kitchen. Suddenly, someone shouted that the Tala's queen had appeared. Choi was shocked and realized they had been hunting without any plan. Choi shouted to the chef, unsure what to do, and his eyes widened in shock. The chef ordered everyone to survive and meet again. The Tala's queen attacked and screamed, and Choi thought its voice was unbelievable. Angel warned him to look behind. Many Talas rushed at him, and he shouted that he had no choice but to run or he would die. He stopped in front of a cave and asked if it was safe. Angel said it was empty because Rahel had checked it earlier. Choi thought it was safer than the open forest and went inside. He noticed the cave was deep and tall enough for the queen. He saw green fluid and touched it, wondering if it was spider silk. Then he saw many webs and realized it was a Tala's nest, and they needed to leave. He shouted that adult Talas had appeared. Angel asked if he knew the way. Choi said he did not and thought he needed a weapon. He grabbed an egg and threw it at the queen. The queen caught it, and Choi was surprised the attack stopped. He asked Angel why it acted that way. Angel said it seemed to like the egg because it was round, sticky, and slimy, and looked like a Tala's egg. Choi grabbed another egg and threw it at the queen, but she caught it again. He realized throwing eggs was working and prepared to throw more, but Angel said that was the last egg. The queen rushed toward them. Choi clenched his fist, thinking the queen was weakened from catching the eggs, and slammed a punch on her. She drifted backward and he leveled up. He asked if he had one. Angel checked on him, and he said he felt like he would die from stress and wanted to move somewhere safe. Later, sitting on the ground, he noticed he could use healing magic and thought investing points in magic was worth it. Angel said it only stopped bleeding and should be used carefully. Choi opened his status window, allocated his stats, and prepared to head back. His level was now 108 with increased strength, vitality, agility, and magic. Choi smiled and said the balance between magic and other stats was finally good. He did not fully understand how to use it yet but saw it as an investment for the future. Suddenly he heard a familiar voice and wondered if it was someone he knew. Later, the chef sat beside him laughing and said he did not expect Choi to still be alive. Choi asked how the chef ended up there. The chef said he had been running away and found the cave, and they were both lucky. Choi realized they were in the Tala's nest with eggs. The chef got excited, holding an egg, and said Tala's eggs were a delicacy even high-ranking officers dreamed of. Choi shouted for him to snap out of it and escape, but the chef kissed the egg and said they needed a corps commander to defeat the queen and wanted to enjoy his last meal. Suddenly, voices approached and a group of goblins entered, surprised to see the chef. The chef said they were lucky to have food. Choi thought this could be his last meal but refused to accept it, determined to escape and survive. In Hema's office, the captain greeted the commander. She teased him for being stiff and asked if he completed the mission. He said they successfully captured the next saint of the Holy Empire. She praised Raedrun for breaking through the fanatics in 3 weeks. Suddenly, a goblin knocked and brought urgent news. The commander asked about the kitchen staff. The goblin said Queen Talas had appeared and Choi Hyun-suk was missing. In the cave, goblins were drinking eggs. The chef said goodbye to his comrades. Hyun hit his head and told him to get a hold of himself. The chef asked what was happening. Hyun explained the chef had been affected by wicked magic and he used a secret weapon to snap him out of it. A new item appeared called the Bestiary Encyclopedia. It contained almost all information about beasts, including Talas, their weak points, flammable fluids, and their eggs. Hyun shouted that if they escaped, he would serve unlimited luxurious monster steak to celebrate survival. The chef told Hyun-suk they needed to survive first to enjoy the buffet and asked for the plan. Hyun shouted to remember the plan and run non-stop. The goblins nodded, and Choi led them forward. A Talas swarm appeared, smashing the ground, but they kept running. The chef asked how Choi was doing it. Choi explained they had to escape while the Talas were distracted and used the eggs to divert them. He thought only one egg was left, and they needed to find the exit. They rushed toward the light, and Choi realized they were alive. Suddenly, the Talas queen appeared with a dark expression. The chef said it was the end. Choi noticed the queen had not attacked and realized there was a reason. He ordered Mr. Culkin to set the egg on fire and warned the queen that if the eggs blew up, her offspring would die and the cave could collapse. A fiery blast shook the ground, and the goblins were shocked. Choi shouted for everyone to get outside. The cave started collapsing, and Choi leveled up. Angel shouted for him to move, but many level-up messages appeared and Choi looked surprised. Choi realized that the Talas who died in the cave collapse had become his experience points because he caused the collapse. He shouted for everyone to escape and asked for help to cast a buff while running. He thought that escaping would be hard while the queen guarded the entrance, and decided to distract her even for a moment. The chef bravely offered his saved eggs to the Talas queen to gain passage. The queen spat green liquid that trapped Choi like a spiderweb, and he thought it might be the end. At that moment the captain appeared holding the queen's leg, saved Choi, and shook the ground by pulling it. Choi smiled and felt amazed by the captain's strength. Later in the black giant Bobo's room, Choi returned safely and comforted Bobo while saying he came back from the edge of death. The angel said she also survived thanks to the cow-headed warrior. Choi warned that the final battle was not far and they might die soon. They talked about his growth and Choi explained that the cave collapse raised his level by 75 to reach 200. Even so, he felt it was still not enough because the enemy's combat power was over 6,000. The angel explained that such power did not come from strength alone but from magic, and to win the hero would also need to use magic. He said it was easier to talk than to actually do because saying it did not mean he could use magic. She replied that he had already used something close to magic before, even if it could not truly be called magic control. Choi thought about the sudden burst of strength he once felt, and wondered if that was magic. Soon the captain arrived and asked if Hyunseok was inside. Choi greeted Redrun in a joking way and asked why he came. The captain told him to come along because they were going to meet the commander together. In Hema's office, the commander questioned Redrun about his personal request. Redrun asked for permission to personally train Choi for combat. He explained that the Orkurken was as strong as a vice-captain and that Hyunseok would surely lose as things were now. He added that Hyunseok had great potential, and he wanted to see how far he could grow. Choi was shocked and thought the request sounded like a sudden confession and believed the commander would refuse. Instead, the commander easily granted permission because she was in a good mood and dismissed them. Choi thanked her deeply from the doorway. The commander then reflected that Choi had become twice as strong in just 2 days. She found his growth fascinating but also unsettling and realized that with Redrun's help there was a real chance Kurken could lose. She decided it would be fair to give Kurken something as well. The scene shifted to the large private training ground where the captain explained it belonged to him alone. Choi was shocked that someone could use such a huge place by themselves. The captain sensed that Choi had a lot of mana but could not control it because his growth was too fast. With only 4 days left before the duel, the captain chose a harsh method. He rushed forward and punched Choi, saying growth always came with pain and telling him to endure it. Choi was shocked and angry, thinking this was not training at all. The captain warned him to focus and block with mana or he might die. Choi managed to block and was pushed back. The captain noticed that Choi did not have special physical strength, but his reaction speed, eyes, and fighting spirit were like a seasoned knight. He realized Choi's combat instincts were sharp and decided to trust them. He reminded Choi about the bet with the commander and said that without mana, defeating Kurken was impossible. He threw Choi away and said it was better to die here than lose in front of everyone. Choi felt true fear and thought that one more hit could kill him, regretting the life he had not lived yet. In the end, both rushed at each other as Choi decided it was do or die, and a powerful blast shook the ground. Choi lay on the ground badly wounded as the captain stepped closer and realized that Choi had finally used mana. Choi weakly joked that heaven had answered his call. The captain praised him and said he would surely win at this pace, then tried to heal him. Suddenly Choi screamed in pain while holding his throat. The captain panicked and realized his mistake, knowing that demonic energy was poison to humans. He apologized and begged Choi to endure a little longer. It was explained that the powers of the world followed a hierarchy where demonic energy overpowered mana, mana overpowered divine power, and divine power overcame demonic energy. Mana belonged to humans, demonic energy to demons, and divine power to those who followed the gods. The Dusis Church, which led the Holy Empire of Gartran, ruled through divine power and honored those who heard the gods as saints. In a distant room, a girl sat quietly as whispers spread that she was Gartran's next saint. She had been captured by the Demon King's army, and goblins doubted her since she had not prayed for days, though they believed Lord Redrun would not be wrong. The saint herself questioned the meaning of praying to gods and felt this situation might be better than being bound to such an order. At that moment, the captain came running in desperation, shouting that a human needed urgent healing. Later Choi woke up with a pounding head and complained in his thoughts about the captain's madness. He joked that the last hand he held was a man's and regretted never holding Rachel's hand. When he saw a beautiful silver-haired girl, he thought he had died again and ended up in some strange afterlife. He muttered nonsense about quitting being a hero and even asked an angel to marry him before reincarnation. The saint coldly judged him as truly the worst, making Choi realize she was a real person. The captain rushed over in joy and hugged him, shouting that he was awake. Choi panicked in his mind, shocked that he had acted like that in front of a human. The captain asked the saint if Choi was fully healed, but she explained that demonic energy still remained inside his body and the future was uncertain. When asked to erase it with divine power, she warned that a mistake could kill him and decided to observe him for now. The captain apologized to Choi and promised to repay him with even harsher training and growth. Choi reacted with disbelief at such passion, while the saint wondered what kind of person a human hero trained by a high-ranking demon officer could be. Later the scene shifted as Bobo the dog held on to Choi. Choi thanked Bobo for breaking into the house, causing chaos, eating the soldier, and freeing him from the training ground. Sitting down, Choi worried about the demonic energy inside him and asked if it was a big problem. Angel Rachel sobbed and cried that her hero had been defiled. After Choi joked about his injuries, Rahel became overwhelmed with guilt and called herself a fake angel destined for hell. Choi tried to cheer her up by calling her a great teammate, but she became even more upset and declared she was going on strike. 3 days later, the silver-haired saint healed Choi after his training. Choi complimented her beauty and asked her to pray for his survival and attend his upcoming duel. On the day of the commander selection duel at the Grand Arena, the host Zach introduced the event to a cheering crowd. Watching from the stands, the commander challenged Captain Raydron to a high-stakes bet. If Choi won, the captain could keep training him, but if Choi lost, the captain would have to execute him personally. Raydron accepted the terms. Choi checked his status window and saw he had reached level 200 with improved SSS rank skills. He felt stronger than ever and grew determined to win so he could ask the saint on a date. The announcer then introduced his opponent, a powerful fighter named Kulkin, who entered the arena to face him. The commander reminded Captain Raydron that he could not back out of their deadly bet. As Kulkin entered the ring, Choi panicked because his opponent's power had surged past 10,000 in just a few days. Rahel suspected that a monster was behind this sudden strength. Despite the danger, Choi realized he had no choice but to fight. During the battle, Choi focused on dodging Kulkin's massive club while looking for an opening. He managed to land a direct hit, but he was shocked when Kulkin remained standing. A single counterattack from the monster broke Choi's arm, but he forced himself to stay calm and remember his training. Captain Raydron had previously taught him that fighting spirit required more than just power. He told Choi that his attacks were weak because he lacked the true intent to kill. In the present moment, Choi embraced that mindset and struck Kulkin with a lethal punch. A massive cloud of dust covered the arena, and when it cleared, Kulkin lay on the ground with a hole in his chest. The announcer began to declare Choi the winner as Rahel cheered for his victory. However, Choi felt exhausted and noted that using such a powerful skill again might kill him. The celebration was cut short when the announcer shouted in shock that Kulkin was miraculously standing back up. Choi was shocked to see Kulkin moving despite having a hole in his chest. Captain Raydron realized the commander had cheated by giving Kulkin extra magic and a curse of immortality. The commander admitted she expected Choi to be talented but had planned for this outcome. Rahel explained that the curse was keeping Kulkin alive and hoped it would wear off soon. Kulkin rushed forward and grabbed Choi by the throat before throwing him high into the air. As Choi felt his body being crushed, the saint used her magic to encourage him to stand back up. Choi decided he would not give up or look weak in front of the girl he liked. He used his magic-like armor to support his broken bones, which caused his magic manipulation skill to level up rapidly. After shouting a request for a date with the saint, Choi punched Kulkin with immense force. When the monster tried to stand again, Choi focused all his power into a single strike aimed at Kulkin's head. The air pressure from the attack shook the ground and finally seemed to have a powerful effect on his opponent. The commander observed Choi's unique fighting style and asked if the captain had taught him those techniques. Captain Raydron admitted he had never seen that method before. The commander remarked that Choi was becoming a monster and a hero within the Demon King's army who reminded her of someone unpleasant. She found the situation increasingly interesting. Choi eventually woke up in his room and immediately asked about the match results and his experience points. Rahel confirmed that he had won and mentioned that the saint had just finished healing him before leaving. When Choi checked his status screen, he saw that his level had increased by 12 and his magic manipulation skill had jumped by 2 levels. Rahel was shocked by this rapid progress and told him that such a fast increase in magic power was unheard of and amazing. Meanwhile, the saint sat in her room and reflected on Choi's terrifying potential. She was amazed that a human could master aura combat and magic in only 3 days when trained knights took months. Despite his odd personality, she began to see him as a symbol of hope because he had won a match he was destined to lose. She then asked a guard for permission to go for a walk. Later, Choi found a note inviting him to the inner courtyard after dinner and realized the saint had actually asked him on a date. Choi Hyun-seok felt extremely nervous while meeting with Saintess Abelson. He struggled to find the right words to say, especially because she was accompanied by large, intimidating escorts. During their walk, the saintess revealed she knew Choi was a hero because of his black hair, which is a trait shared only by heroes and demons in her world. When Choi shyly asked if she found him attractive as a man, she confirmed that she did. Their conversation was suddenly interrupted by a captain who informed Choi that the Legion commander needed to see him immediately. Though Choi was disappointed to leave his meeting with the saintess, he followed the orders and went to see the commander. Upon his arrival, the commander praised Choi for his resilience and survival skills during his previous duels. She admitted that she originally expected him to die quickly, but she now saw his true potential. Instead of making him a regular officer or forcing him into another duel, she decided to give him a specialized leadership role. Due to recent heavy losses in the cooking unit that disrupted the meat supply for the officers, she appointed Choi as the new head of the cooking unit. He was given the authority to recruit his own staff and was ordered to have the kitchen fully operational within 2 days. Despite his nerves, Choi accepted the responsibility and promised to do his best. Angel mocked Choi for becoming a cook for the Demon King, but Choi ignored her and focused on his new job. He quickly used force to make the goblins respect him as their new commander. He noticed that the unit was much smaller than before because many cooks had died hunting without a leader. To fix this, he appointed a goblin named Galum as his deputy and began a plan to find more workers. The next day, Choi started recruiting new members by looking for those who were easy to control. He told his first recruit that joining early would give him seniority over others. He then ordered the goblin to bring 5 friends to join the team. To make sure the goblin followed orders, he promised that bringing friends would protect him from being hit as much as the others. Commander Doris was enjoying a peaceful meal when a goblin messenger interrupted her with urgent news. He reported that a large number of soldiers had deserted her unit. Doris was initially dismissive and thought the soldiers simply had nothing better to do. However, her attitude changed instantly when the messenger clarified that over 200 of her troops had actually been reassigned as cooks for a new human chef. Down on the ground, Choi Hyun-suk was celebrating his success in recruiting so many workers. He felt that using his head had paid off and decided it was time to finish the recruitment. His mood shifted when he noticed Doris approaching with a look of pure rage. He checked his power gauge and saw that her combat strength was too high for the device to measure, which signaled a serious threat. Doris shouted for Choi and demanded to know why he had taken all her unit members. Choi realized that his new recruits had brought along their friends and accidentally emptied out her entire squad. To fix the situation, they met in an office where Choi explained that it was not an intentional theft. He told the commander that he had simply been looking for the strongest soldiers, and it just so happened that they all belonged to her elite unit. Doris decided to let the situation go because Choi was protected by the corps commander. She agreed to let him keep the soldiers he had recruited on the condition that he took one more person. She introduced a strong but unintelligent hybrid named Yuzaru who was part ogre and part orc. Although Choi suspected this would lead to trouble, he accepted the offer to avoid further conflict with her. Once back with the group, Choi introduced himself as the caretaker for the new chef and began reorganizing the unit. He created a roster based on combat power and assigned the weaker goblins to the kitchen while the stronger ones joined the combat team. When one goblin complained and demanded to hunt instead of cook, Choi quickly defeated him in a brief test of strength. This display of leadership caused his hidden charisma and command abilities to level up. With the unit stabilized, Choi ordered the combat team to prepare for a hunting expedition in the Great Forest. Upon arrival, he noticed the forest was unusually quiet and wondered if the presence of Bobo and Yuzaru was scaring the prey away. His companion suggested using bait to lure the monsters out. She explained that they did not need anything fancy and proposed using a type of biological bait that would drive the local beasts directly toward them. Choi selected a group of goblins based on his favorite lottery numbers from Earth to act as bait for the hunt. He ordered the strong hybrid Yuzaru to throw the weak goblins deep into the forest like missiles to attract monsters. Choi then instructed his team to light a smoke signal under the pretense of helping their lost comrades return. While his companion worried about the survival of the thrown goblins, Choi admitted that very few would likely make it back. Eventually, a monster followed one of the fleeing goblins back to their position, which allowed Choi to finish it off and secure the meat. Despite the successful hunt, Yuzaru accidentally crushed the prey into bits, making the meat difficult to use. Choi decided to end the day's work but went straight to the kitchen to check on the ingredients. He scolded the goblin cooks for complaining about the quality of the minced meat, and told them that a true master should be able to work with any tools. The cooks explained that they usually only knew how to grill food and that better cooking was reserved only for high-ranking leaders. Choi realized that providing better-tasting food to the camp could be a great way to gain more influence and make his mission easier. Choi visited the Saintess to express his gratitude for her support during his final match by preparing her a special dinner. Although she initially planned to eat only a small amount, the food was so delicious that she finished the entire plate and admitted it tasted better than royal meals. During their conversation, Choi shared his ambitions for the future, while the Saintess sadly confessed that she doubted she would ever leave her current situation or have any desires if she did. Meanwhile, in the capital of the Holy Empire, the Pope learned that the next Saintess was being held captive in the Black Fortress by a powerful demon named Hemis. Because the demon army had not made any demands, the human leaders were confused about their true motives. The king realized that a direct attack on the fortress would be too dangerous while the powerful demon was present. He decided to send a secret rescue team instead and ordered his subordinates to summon the legendary hero Sir Oseld to lead the mission. Choi reflected on the Saintess's strange lack of motivation before turning his attention back to his troops. He presented the platoon leader with a dish he had prepared, which the leader initially feared was a form of punishment, or mere scraps. However, upon tasting it, the leader was so overwhelmed by the quality of the food that he immediately pledged his loyalty and begged for more. Choi ended the tasting session and announced a competition where the platoon that captured the most live monsters would win a meal prepared by him. Driven by their hunger, the soldiers rushed into the forest to hunt. Choi noted that all living beings are driven by their appetite, and observed that his own level had increased by 10 during the case. Once the hunt ended, he declared the Wolfken platoon the winners and ordered the gathered meat to be delivered to the kitchen. Inside the Black Star, the Saintess Abelson Marriott worried if she had revealed too much to Choi. A cloaked man named Jevin arrived, claiming he was there to rescue her on behalf of the Pope. She refused to return and ordered him to step aside. When Jevin insisted on following his orders to take her back, she threatened to release her divine energy to alert the powerful gourmand in the castle to his presence. Jevin grabbed the Saintess by the throat and told her that he was a soldier following orders rather than a prince. He intended to knock her out so she would wake up back in the capital. The Saintess panicked because she found herself unable to use her divine powers and desperately wanted to avoid returning home. Choi suddenly intervened with a punch and ordered Jevin to release her. Jevin noted that Choi used dark magic and moved impressively for a human, but he eventually kicked Choi aside. He decided to capture Choi as well since he found him to be a useful material. While Jevin was busy preparing a magic scroll to transport both captives, Commander Hemis arrived. Jevin was shocked because he believed he had successfully blocked any signals from the Saintess. He felt a massive difference in power and recalled legends of her consuming thousands of soldiers in a single day. Hemis released a dark aura and prepared to fight while Jevin struggled to focus. He realized he was too dizzy to fight back effectively and suspected something had happened to him earlier in the encounter. Hemis mocked Jevin for his struggle and encouraged him to make the fight more entertaining. Recognizing that his mission was a failure and his body was failing him, Jevin decided to abandon the Saintess and escape alone. He used a bright light to teleport away from the scene. Hemis watched him disappear and remarked that although her guest had fled, the truly fun part of the situation was only just beginning. He felt a massive difference in power and recalled legends of her consuming thousands of soldiers in a single day. Commander Hemis was known by many titles such as the Gourmet and the Immortal Witch because she and the Demon King were the only beings to remain powerful throughout history. Despite her long life, she felt that things were finally becoming interesting again. Meanwhile, Choi practiced his combat skills with his captain. The captain hit him and warned that his attacks were too predictable and his mana usage was too simple. He advised Choi to be more flexible and told him that since there is always someone stronger, he should use any means necessary to win. After the training session ended, the angel healed Choi while complaining that he treated her like a living health potion. Choi thought about the advice from the Saintess who told him that only true strength could protect him. He agreed that he needed to become much stronger to survive. This upset the angel who reminded him that the Saintess had almost caused his death during his trial. She found it suspicious that an assassin using holy power would try to kill a holy figure. Choi decided to drop the subject, which only made the angel more frustrated. She accused him of liking the Saintess too much and warned him that he was acting like a moth flying into a flame. Choi told her to stop being jealous, but this only made her angrier. She shouted at him and asked where he lived while threatening him in her fit of rage. Choi felt completely defeated and sobbed about wanting to be reborn as a pampered cat in his next life. The angel explained that this distress began 30 minutes earlier in the office of Commander Hemis. During that meeting, Hemis complained about being bored and ordered Choi to defeat the brigade commander within 1 month. When she offered to help him in a way that clearly terrified him, Choi bowed and insisted he would handle the challenge on his own. The angel mocked Choi and told his pet Bobo to say goodbye because she believed Choi could not survive such a difficult mission. She pointed out that the brigade commander had a power level far beyond Choi's current reach. However, Choi realized that Hemis never specifically ordered a fair duel. He decided that as long as he defeated the commander, the method did not matter. He planned to lure the commander out and use Bobo to help him win the fight. When the angel questioned how he would convince the commander to follow him, Choi revealed his plan to use food as a bribe. He recalled that the commander was a glutton who enjoyed fancy meals. Choi began cooking a special dish of braised short ribs using mushrooms, green onions, and a variety of seasonings. He carefully simmered the meat until it was perfect, and plated it neatly to create the ultimate meal meant to win over the brigade commander. Doris enjoyed a rare moment of peace and praised the decision to hand Yuzaru to Choi Hyun-suk. A goblin informed her that the head chef wanted to meet her and personally serve a dish as gratitude. Doris grew curious about his famous cooking and allowed him to enter. Choi greeted her and thanked her for helping him secure his position as head chef. He apologized for coming late and presented an urine rib dish he made with great care. Doris tasted it and was shocked by its rich aroma and divine flavor and praised the power of human cooking. Choi felt proud and asked her to try his future dishes as well. Doris happily agreed and remarked on his good relationship with the Legion commander. Choi then left loudly and struggled to hold himself together afterward. An angel commented on his strong stomach while Choi revealed that everything was part of his plan to keep feeding the target until his guard dropped so he could kill him. A week later, Doris complained about her low appetite and worried about the coming match that would decide her battalion commander position. She felt others looked down on her body but decided to eat well anyway. She invited Hyun-suk to watch the match as her lucky charm while he agreed with regret. The next day at the Grand Parade Ground, the match began under a new host named Roger. Doris greeted Hyun-suk confidently before the fight started. She clashed with her opponent and a powerful shock wave shook the area. Hyun-suk realized the result was already decided. Roger declared Doris the winner and dismissed everyone. That night at Bobo House, Hyun-suk admitted his old plan was not enough and decided to revise it. He showed a monster encyclopedia and a beast territory map made through the sacrifices of the cooking core. He explained that strong monsters had their own territories and planned to use stronger beasts to surround Doris and make enemies fight each other. 3 days later, the group moved through a vast forest while Angel complained with exhaustion that memorizing the beast encyclopedia for days made her feel sick. Choi calmly replied that they should have split the work and focused on their first target, a large worm-type monster ahead. Angel excitedly explained that it was a serpent, a strong but calm forest creature, and proudly praised herself while Choi inwardly found her annoying but useful. A goblin asked about the hunting spot and Choi casually pointed forward while asking Angel about a dragon-like beast with steel scales. She explained that many similar creatures existed and they needed to see it directly. Choi then decided to move forward and ordered the cooking corps to kill everything freely and eat on the spot, making the goblins cheer wildly. After heavy hunting, Choi felt uneasy because the ruler of the area had not appeared and decided to stop for the day. As fires were prepared, Angel suddenly shouted in alarm after spotting a Nidrak, and Choi recognized it as a powerful monster capable of defeating Doris. The scene shifted to Hema's office where the commander felt something was wrong because Choi Hyun-seok had been missing for 3 weeks. The captain denied teaching him anything special and agreed that his chances of defeating a battalion commander were 0, though he mentioned Choi had grown close to Doris. The commander became angry that Choi chose to befriend Doris instead of taking him down. The scene then shifted to Doris' office where Doris happily praised Choi cooking while eating. Choi explained with worry that the kitchen staff faced a serious problem and that this would be his last meal, since a powerful beast called Marbling could not be captured even after days of fighting. Doris doubted him at first but listened when Choi insisted. She offered her soldiers, but Choi said even many weak soldiers would fail and cleverly suggested that Doris herself should hunt the beast and gain recognition from the Legion commander. Doris felt annoyed but agreed to help because of their friendship, making Choi sincerely thankful. The next day at the promised location, Angel checked if Choi had memorized the map and he confidently said he knew it perfectly. He reminded Bobo and Yuzaru of their roles, and Yuzaru loudly promised to work hard because meat was involved. Choi stepped forward with determination as the mission screen appeared, announcing a pig hunt with a possible promotion to battalion commander. The scene shifted to the central area of the vast forest where the goblins walked in confusion, unsure of their destination and only knowing a strong beast was being hunted. Doris complained about the ugly outside world and asked how far they still had to go, while Choi replied they were close to Marbling territory and quietly worried about the danger despite Doris bringing many soldiers. Soon the monster appeared and Doris confirmed it was Marbling before charging forward with her battalion. The battle began fiercely as Choi warned the soldiers and noticed the monster slowing, while Doris attacked again with full force. Angel watched in shock as Doris overwhelmed the fight, but Choi realized Doris was using her own soldiers as shields and that the battalion was being slaughtered instead. As Doris tried to finish the monster, a goblin shouted in panic that another monster was approaching. Choi quickly recognized it as a serpent and realized the chaos had drawn it in as a territory threat. With no other option, Doris ordered everyone to retreat immediately. Angel panicked and asked what to do because Doris could not be allowed to escape. Choi shouted that he had no choice and rushed Doris, punching her and forcing everyone to stop retreating and fight. Doris felt the pain and realized she had been betrayed by a human, then exploded with rage as her power surged and she swore to kill Choi. Angel warned Choi to run, but he barely dodged her attack and realized her skill was terrifying. Doris chased him with killing intent while Choi searched for Bobo and Yuzaru and learned they were caught in the serpent attack. Choi noticed Doris was coughing blood and understood she was overusing her power, so he decided to stall for time. While running, he asked Angel to guide him toward nearby monster habitats, and she directed him toward the Warhound area. Doris destroyed monsters in her path and mocked Choi for trying to escape, but Choi realized that entering a habitat with young monsters would provoke them. Doris angrily accused him of using dirty tricks and declared she would kill him there. Doris shouted and showed her overflowing power, claiming Plamote was the strongest combat aura of the demons and that it would end everything. She suddenly stopped when Choi realized she had already reached her limit after using Falling Blossoms and had exhausted herself fighting the beast. Doris tried to retreat while shouting that she had no choice and would return after recovering her strength to kill him and erase the humiliation. Choi rushed after her and declared that she could not leave as she wished. Doris mocked him and said fists could never defeat her, but Choi attacked with raid run style and slammed her into the ground. She screamed in rage for being underestimated. At that moment the commander arrived and questioned the commotion as a powerful blast shook the area, making Choi feel dizzy. Doris begged the commander for mercy and claimed the battle was not decisive, but the commander silenced her and scolded her for the disgrace of being beaten by a human during wartime. Choi rushed forward and shouted that he had defeated the battalion commander as ordered. The commander smiled, acknowledged their bet, and told Choi to follow her since she had much to hear from him. The commander asked if Choi had even rushed to Sir Fab in the end, and he admitted it was unexpected for him as well. She questioned his way of thinking and warned him for using her instructions to his advantage, calling it cunning but still judging the mission as a success. She clearly warned him that there would be no next time if he caused another incident or took shortcuts, and Choi obediently acknowledged her order. Later at Bobo's house, Choi felt relieved that they had survived and wondered about Doris' polymorph and Plamote. Angel explained that it felt like a demon-exclusive combat aura and suggested asking the bull-headed demon later. Choi commented on how much Angel had endured and mentioned hearing that the commander defeated the beast easily, even feeling a little sorry for Doris. Angel reminded him that he was the one who landed the final blow and took all the experience, making him awkwardly apologize. She teased him for smiling, and he asked how many levels she gained. Choi then checked his status window and noted a massive increase but became confused by strange squares and question marks appearing. Angel dismissed it and insisted the hero system could not have errors, accusing him of joking again. Choi dropped the argument, and Angel suddenly suggested checking his combat power to celebrate his 48-level jump. After measuring it, she happily announced the final result as 13,936. Choi was shocked by the huge growth, and Angel cheerfully toasted to his continued success. After training, Choi thought about going to see Abelson and arrived early, where the captain noticed him. Choi greeted Lord Raidron, and the captain congratulated him for defeating Doris. Choi thanked him and asked about a technique used in that fight called Flommet. The captain explained that Flommet was an ancient non-formal martial art, different from formal ones, and that such techniques were very rare and passed down in secret. Choi understood it as the difference between an attack skill and a buff-type skill. The captain added that Flommet had been passed down for generations and that any demon with magia could learn it, but it was extremely dangerous and rarely used. Choi asked if he could learn it since he had magia, but the captain replied that the magia in his body was not truly his own. Choi argued that this made it less risky and insisted that Abelson could handle it if something went wrong. He passionately complained about the commander always throwing him into deadly fights and treating his survival like entertainment. Choi begged to try Flommet just once and promised to give up if it failed, insisting it was his own body and his decision. The captain finally gave in and told Hyunseok to stop begging, feeling as if he had been tricked but deciding to keep his promise and begin the training while telling him to follow closely. The scene then shifted to the underground cathedral prison of the Holy Empire Gatron, where the emperor asked Sir Giffen Oselda if he was conscious. Giffen recognized the Pope and questioned why he had come despite claiming there was no more business between them. The emperor offered him a special chance at redemption and said that no one was eternally condemned before God. When Giffen asked what he had to do, the emperor ordered him to eliminate Abelson Marriott. Giffen questioned the sudden change from capture to elimination and wondered what the church would gain from the saintess's death. The emperor dismissed his doubts and reassured him by assigning 4 knights and stating that the gourmand would be away, making success mandatory with no room for failure. The scene then shifted again as the Saintess shouted at Hyunseok to snap out of it, and scolded both of them for allowing a human to use a demon-exclusive martial art. The captain defended himself by saying Hyunseok believed it would be fine and that not much magia remained. The Saintess angrily rebuked them, saying they had no right to decide such things without expertise. She explained that her treatment only contained and bound the magia, but they had recklessly released it under the excuse of trying to control and use it. The captain asked what would happen to Choi Hyunseok, and the saint said he would not survive as he was. She explained that it was too late to seal the magia again, so she would try altering his body to accept it instead. She planned to spread the condensed magia with holy power. The captain asked if it was possible, and the saint admitted she had never done it before and there was a risk the magia could rebel, but she insisted it was worth trying. Golden aura flared around her. Later, Choi woke up feeling like a lot had happened. Angel expressed relief that he had woken up after 3 days and asked if he remembered anything. Choi said his memory cut off at learning Flamet and noticed something unusual in his status window. The commander arrived, noting that he would need to stay seated and that crawling was probably the best he could do. She commented on a human using magia and praised the saintess's work while calling the outcome boring. She then personally intervened, calling Choi her dying ant experiment, and saying it was an honor. Dark aura hit Choi, and the commander assured Raidrun he would be fine after rest before instructing them to head back to the office, as the Demon King had summoned her with a task for Choi. A few days later at Bobo's house, the saintess told Choi that his treatment was complete. Choi thanked her, and she humbly said it was his own will that helped him overcome it, and called him her only hope. Choi was curious about her words but realized he would have to wait for her to explain things in her own time. Later at night, the captain reminded Choi not to push himself too hard while teaching him the theory of energy manipulation. Choi said he was fine as long as he avoided using magic for now and mentioned the Cowden clan's tournament. The captain admitted he had a bad feeling about this year's annual meeting at the Demon King's castle but reassured Choi to focus on his own condition. He thought about how Choi was growing stronger each day as magical energy enhanced his physical abilities and sensed another presence in the castle with holy power, suspecting someone had infiltrated. Meanwhile, cloaked men gathered underground, noting that getting inside was easier than expected because the gourmet was absent. Jevin warned them to keep quiet and reminded them that the Red Nightmare was still in the castle. The captain appeared before them, surprised they knew Lord Hemis was not there. Jevin ordered Lucas and Nell to go to the Saintess while he and Orca prepared to face the Red Nightmare. The captain thought their target was the next Saintess and planned to fight 4 humans while preventing 2 from escaping. Choi came running, worried and asking if he was alright. The captain scolded him for following but quickly gave him a necklace, ordering him to take the Saintess and escape immediately while using it as proof to gather high-ranking officers. Choi caught the necklace and ran, following the orders. Jevin shouted at his men to stop them, but the captain used a magic technique called Shattering Strike to confront them. Suddenly, a hero quest appeared for Choi, telling him that evil humans were trying to kill Abelson Marriott and that he must protect the next Saintess. The quest displayed a reward of 1,000 hero points, and hinted that enduring the hardship together might lead to love. Choi was shocked that humans were attacking the Saintess and at the large reward, then shouted to Abelson that they had to run immediately. The Saintess was confused by Choi's sudden warning, and he explained that he thought the same attackers from last time had returned. The goblin guard shouted that intruders had arrived and told Choi to take the Saintess and run while they held off the enemies. Choi held her hand, but she asked him to wait a moment. Meanwhile, Roiger mocked Doris for losing to a human and reminded everyone to follow orders and restore everything before the commander returned. A goblin reported urgently that a human cook had arrived carrying Lord Raidrun's necklace and claimed humans were attacking the castle to kill the Saintess. Roiger demanded details and listened as Choi explained that Lord Lydron sensed holy power, rushed out, and found humans were targeting the Saintess. Roiger calmed him, then ordered everyone to get down, light the signal fire, and protect the Saintess at all costs, shocked that humans were really trying to kill her. Choi used Raidrun-style combat technique, Form 7, Crushing Break, and fought the attacking humans, shouting that he would protect Abelson. Jevin mocked Orca for falling and seemed confident, while the captain thought Choi's strength was impressive, using a subordinate as a shield and reaching at least division commander level. Jevin admitted that with the gluttonous one absent, the Red Nightmare was the strongest force in the castle and only needed to keep the captain occupied while his subordinates handled the rest. The captain realized Jevin knew Lord Hemis was absent and had assessed the castle's forces, then decided to finish the fight quickly, declaring that true strength can overcome incompatibility. Meanwhile, Roiger noted he had never heard of another hero in the Demon King's army and mentioned 3 fallen humans including the Saintess and Choi. Choi told him he had failed and warned that all forces in the castle would soon gather, making it impossible to fight alone. Roger was surprised when he noticed that Choi had learned Lord Raedrun's combat aura. Suddenly, a golden light appeared as a voice declared their body belonged to God and offered itself in flames to gain the power to vanquish evil. Roger recognized the fire as divine magic, a high-ranking Holy Knight's technique that burns the user's own body and can destroy most creatures. He told Choi to give up on the Saintess and surrender, questioning why he would attack his fellow humans. Choi insisted that Abelson was on their side. The Saintess explained that the Holy Empire had long abandoned God and only cared about having an obedient puppet, not the real Saintess. Roger dismissed her words and challenged Choi, giving him 10 seconds. Choi decided he had no choice and gathered mana around his hand despite the Saintess warning that his body could not withstand demonic energy. He thought that if they stayed passive, both of them would die, so he had to use it. He also remembered the captain's warning about Plummet having 3 dangerous stages: blooming, full bloom, and falling petals. Choi remembered the captain's warning to master each stage of Plummet before moving on, but in the present he decided to push himself just this once. Aura burst around him, and his body and heart felt like they were about to explode from the strain. Angel shouted in shock, warning him that his body could not withstand using Plummet, but he told her to keep casting a barrier. Roger was surprised to see a human using Plummet, and realized Choi was not an ordinary hero. Choi rushed forward, and Roger noticed that the blackened body showed he had reached the 3rd stage. He thought that Choi's ability to redirect his sword was unprecedented, and believed Choi's power would soon run out. Choi slammed his punch into Roger's chest, ignoring his shout that he had fallen to the demon's temptations. Choi reached his limit but remembered the captain's warning that using combat aura on top of Plummet could destroy his body. He thought about the silver-haired Saintess crying in front of him and decided that he would not care about death as long as he protected her. Choi realized his body was already at its limit and decided to push himself fully to win, knowing there was no way to retreat. The Saintess worried that using divine power on him could make his body explode and prayed for his safety. Roger mocked him for layering aura on top of aura, calling it self-harm. Choi shouted as he charged, determined to make Roger pay, and Roger dismissed his attack as pathetic. Choi still had more attacks left, and Roger noticed that he had even transformed his aura. The Saintess shouted for him to hold on a little longer. Roger admitted he had underestimated Choi and realized that if he survived, he could become a great threat to the Empire. The captain arrived, slammed Roger to the ground, and asked the Saintess if she could save Choi. She promised to try and told him he could not die yet. Meanwhile, the commander complained about the poor snacks while the 4th Legion commander, Park Hyena, told her not to be picky. The commander scolded Hyena for her disrespect, joking that she would have died many times if not for rules forbidding battles between Legion commanders. A mouse then arrived with urgent news that the Gatran Empire was attacking, led by 4 knights including a level 1 hero, and many soldiers had been killed or injured. The commander noted that the Legion commander's regular meeting had been suddenly moved up and that humans were attacking in the gap, calling it an incredible coincidence. Choi woke up and celebrated surviving again, and Angel scolded him for being reckless but admitted she was relieved he lived. She explained that although Choi had successfully used aura, the monster survived his attack until a cow-headed ally appeared and saved him. The Saintess and the cow-headed ally took turns nursing him, and Bobo and Angel helped too. She told him not to do something so dangerous again, and Choi apologized and praised her. Angel smiled and said it was no problem. Later, the captain arrived and praised Choi for his aura use but reminded him not to be reckless, warning that without Lord Hemis's help, he would have died. The commander played with Bobo and dismissed concerns about the meeting, saying it was more important to deal with the attacks at the main base. She thought Choi was an interesting human for being able to use the mana she had planted in him so effectively. Commander reminded the Demon King of their past, and said she always followed his will to protect what he cared for. The Demon King asked what she meant. She said his treatment put her in a difficult position. He accused her of being arrogant and refusing to obey. She replied she did not want to argue and gave him one final piece of advice before leaving. The scene shifted to the 3rd Legion at Bobo's residence. The captain wished safe travels to the Demon King. The commander congratulated Raedrun for defeating a hero-class human and suggested he aim higher. Raedrun said he wanted to stay and watch Choi Hyunseok grow and continue learning under Lord Hemis. The commander then announced that because the castle was wrecked by the humans and everyone had become lazy, the 3rd Legion would hold a Grand Commander Selection Tournament. Choi noticed he still had 950 hero points even after upgrading the hero shop and thought about using them to get new gear. Angel said the armors were too weak and not worth it. Choi said accessories had many effects but were hard to choose and decided to upgrade his combat power analyzer first. A new item appeared that could measure combat power and required 150 hero points. Then another system appeared that allowed creating unique skills from actions, needing 500 hero points. Choi realized it could turn his movements into skills. The system started recording his movements and magic flow. Choi smiled and decided to start by turning a kick into a skill. Choi completed recording his movements and thought the system was amazing, but then a warning appeared saying aura generation failed. He was shocked and angry. Angel explained the system could not recognize a user using demonic energy, and it was not the server's fault. Choi demanded his points back. The scene shifted to Raydun's training hall where Choi asked for help to develop his own aura. Captain Raydun agreed and began training him. After several days of training, Choi completed it and earned a special reward, creating his own aura called Modified Raydun-style Martial Arts Nobilis. The scene then shifted to Tournament Day where Jack announced the start of the Grand Tournament to select one regiment leader and 13 battalion leaders with over 1,000 participants. The first match was set to begin in 1 hour. Choi met Commander Park Hyuna, who said she had been watching him and sensed a strange demonic energy inside him despite his normal human appearance. The captain asked her to step aside, saying she had a message from Lord Hemis for the mess hall captain. Hyuna agreed and left while Choi learned from the captain that she sometimes acted strange but was a former hero and the commander of the 4th Legion sent to observe the tournament. The captain warned Choi not to get too close and explained that the message from Lord Hemis was for him to reach the top 8 in the tournament, or he would be sent to the 2nd Legion's lab as rare material. 2 hours later the tournament began with Jack announcing that the first event was a simple race where reaching the goal by any means was allowed and accidental killings would be forgiven. As the race started, demons attacked Choi, but Angel quickly created a shield to protect him. During the race, a demon attacked Choi again, but he dodged it. The demon formed a large mana ball, and Choi slashed it into pieces, noticing it became weaker when split. The demon shouted in anger that the human had hit them with an area attack. Choi yelled that he never killed the demon anyway and chased another who ran away, calling him an insane goat. A goblin punched Choi, reminding him of the captain's advice that his aura techniques were not suited for a human and that he needed to create his own technique by fusing the demonic energy from Lord Hemis with his human magical power. Choi remembered this and named his new power Nobilis. His magic and demonic energy control increased, and he gained the new skill Nobilis. He punched a goblin, releasing a powerful aura, and ran at the speed of light. Jack announced that 95 participants had arrived and only 5 spots remained. Choi approached a demon who was shocked that a human was already there and punched him hard, knocking him down. Jack then announced that Holgat and Choi Hyunsuk were the 99th and 100th to pass the first round. Choi smiled as the first round ended, and Jack said the 100 who cleared it would compete again in 3 days. That night near the Black Star Fortress, Hyen asked if Modem was really going to release something into the tournament. Commander Park Hyena greeted Modem, who replied it had been 97 years, 3 months, and 11 days since, and asked what he should do. Modem asked if all he had to do was take all the participants' flags. The commander told him that was correct but warned him not to steal them blindly and to go easy on anyone who seemed decent. Hyen teased the commander for going soft. The commander explained that demons always fight fair and with brute strength, and when they lose power, they lose the fight and die. Humans were different because they avoided fights when at a disadvantage and used tricks to overcome stronger opponents, which was why the demon army kept losing to weaker humans. She told Hyen to study that carefully. Later, Holgat shouted that he had a brilliant plan to use humans as bait to ambush others. Choi nervously agreed but wondered why he ended up on Holgat's team. Holgat said all they had to do was wait to advance to round 2. The ranking screen showed Team 5 in first with 9 flags, followed by Team 8 with 7, Team 24 with 5, Team 9 with 4, and Team 1 with 3 flags. In the second tournament, Team 9 was first with 7 flags, Team 24 second with 5, Team 9 third with 4, and Team 1 fourth with 3 flags. Choi noticed a clashing sound and saw Modem messing with the scoreboard. Holgat was shocked, asking if the intruder was a golden goblin. Choi shouted not to rush in or fight him. Holgat rushed at Modem shouting to kill him and become his flag, but he quickly fell to the ground defeated. Hyen told him to forget it because there was no way they could beat Modem with their skill level. The commander remained silent. Choi told everyone to charge on his signal and specifically told Holgat to be smart and use magic. Holgat protested about being ordered around while forming a mana ball. It quickly flew high into the sky and rushed at Modem, who noted it was a pincer attack and said it was refreshing but still too slow and weak. Modem threw it quickly aside. Choi rushed forward, snatched something cleanly, and Modem praised the combo but held Choi's face, asking about the purple aura he had never seen before. Choi challenged Modem to take a direct hit to find out, and used his magic technique Mana Burst Devour on Modem. Modem released him and stepped back, commenting that releasing mana like that was weak for a supposed suicide move. Choi smiled and told Modem to look behind him, revealing Holgot, and explained that his plan had been calculated all along and that it had been a difficult meeting they would never repeat. Choi realized he had leveled up 4 times and felt shocked by it. A screen appeared and explained the Dryad as a plant beast that was mostly female and helped other plant beasts reproduce. Angel noticed that the Demon King army used complex magic rituals and found it impressive. Choi decided to collect the herbs and leave quickly, but something suddenly hit his face. Holgot appeared and declared that he had finally found Choi and wanted to settle things. Choi lay there annoyed and complained about always being stuck guarding. The scene moved to a Nemesite near the teleportation gate where a goblin asked them not to damage the only gate connected to the castle. Roger agreed and sensed a group of humans hunting beasts nearby but felt no strong magic from them. He decided it was safer to avoid contact and leave them alone. The scene returned to Holgot, who loudly boasted about his power and mocked Choi for running away. Choi coldly considered killing him, but Holgot panicked and revealed that the hero team had chosen demon kind as their top hunting target, making the situation feel serious. Choi asked Holgot where the hero team was and why he was alone. Suddenly the hero team arrived and shouted that they had found the human and moved to kill him. Choi panicked and complained that the system was being abused again. The scene shifted to the Black Fortress war room where the commander observed that all enemies were targeting Choi Hyunseok. Roger reported through the screen that the teleportation gate was under attack by a large and well-armed human raid party using stealth items and knowing the exact location. The captain prepared to move out, and the commander suspected there was an information leak. The scene returned to Choi hiding in bushes while he whispered in fear about how the sacred battle was being rigged and how survival felt impossible. Angel suggested starting a beast war and checking the hero shop, but Choi found nothing useful to save him. A man suddenly appeared and asked if Choi was the rumored hero while many cloaked men revealed themselves behind him. Choi sensed something strange and realized they were humans. The man introduced himself as the hero Andrew Taylor. A screen appeared and announced a hero quest warning that Choi had encountered a wicked hero group and must survive at all costs to earn hero points. The commander asked Modem about Choi Hyunseok. Modem said that even though Choi was human, he could use demonic energy mixed with mana, which was something new to him. He thought Choi was very talented, fast, brave, and had sharp judgment. Modem believed Choi was stronger than most demons he had met and said the demon world needed change. The commander agreed that such a change might be interesting. The scene shifted to the Holy Empire of Gartland. The emperor was angry about Sir Geffen failing and losing a hero-class talent. He decided that Abelson Marriott should be removed from claiming the next saintess title and be declared a heretic working with the Demon King army. The emperor then discussed the glutton rebuilding his forces and changing leadership through a merit tournament. He asked if there was a way to interfere, but Erland said the Demon King refused to help. The emperor suggested sending a legend to fight the glutton, but Erland warned that Park Hyuna, a traitor and early-stage legend tier fighter, was at the Black Fortress, making the battle risky. The emperor questioned if the Demon King was secretly supporting the glutton, and Erland advised that calling off the operation might be safest. The emperor reminded Cardinal Erland that the Church of Deuses and the Drasten Empire became superpowers because the demon race acted as a necessary evil. He said evil had to exist for good to shine and guide people toward faith, which was Gartland's true source of power. He noted that they had controlled wars by using the Demon King. A spy reported that the next tournament match would be in Inamazet, a dangerous forest far from the Black Fortress. The emperor saw this as divine favor and ordered Erland to gather the heroes to test their true abilities. The scene shifted to Choi realizing that mixing demonic energy with mana made his skill window chaotic. The angel explained that he now had 5 skills, including a modified raid run martial arts, demon consumption, and noblesse. His command skill rank had increased with a useful bonus, and he was steadily rising in the Demon King army. Hyun arrived and asked if there were items to boost his stats, mocking him that none were available at his level. Choi panicked when he saw she was the 3rd Corps commander. She demanded his hero points, called him a beginner, and accused him of trying to steal her experience. Choi quickly agreed to answer everything she asked. Hyun advised Choi to upgrade his store and buy subspace since his fighting spirit skill made it a better inventory. She then questioned him seriously, confirming he was a hero, asking why he served in the Demon King army, and how he mixed mana with demonic energy. Choi awkwardly said it happened by chance, and when she repeated it in disbelief, he just nodded. Losing patience, she shouted at him as he ran away, calling him a brat. Later, Hyen asked if he wanted to transfer to the 4th Corps and offered to train him, but Choi refused. When she asked why he stayed, he said Lady Hemis would probably kill him if he left, making her sigh. She asked his next goal, and he shamelessly said he wanted to marry a rich blonde noble and have 5 children. Hyen gave up on him, saying he was hopeless and told him to rest, adding that Hemis would never allow him to leave. Choi quietly admitted he had grown attached to living there. On the day of round 3, Choi prepared himself and told Do Bobo to take care of the house, confidently declaring he would return as champion. The angel reminded him that they would teleport to Inamasat after reaching the stadium, and Choi agreed excitedly, ready to head to the land of monsters. Choi greeted Andrew politely and acted like a humble rookie hero while asking why he was there. Andrew calmly said he was hunting demons and then revealed he was also here to kill human traitors. Holgot suddenly shouted after finding Choi again and got confused by the chaos. Choi quickly rallied the demon army by shouting orders and turning the situation into a battle against humans. A system message appeared showing that his hidden charisma and leadership were activated and ally morale increased. The demons followed his lead and charged the humans while Choi smiled and thought that the distraction would not last long. Soon Roger caught up to Choi and explained that the teleportation gate to the fortress had been destroyed by a human attack. The gate defense squad had been wiped out, and only Roger barely escaped. Choi was shocked to hear that the attackers were division commander level with one close to corps commander strength. Roger admitted they could not survive because Choi was marked with a tracking spell and both of them would be hunted. Breaking the spell would take too long. At that moment a warning announced a master-level beast nearby and Choi realized this creature might be their only chance, so he told Roger that he had a plan. The scene moved to the human army where they reported that the demons had been dealt with, but Andrew realized the traitor hero had escaped and ordered pursuit. A scout rushed in and pointed out the traitor's location to the east. Andrew sensed a powerful energy and recognized it as Ploclade, the strongest predator in Anemazite, and a dangerous plant monster that caused massive damage. He decided that the team would draw the monster's attention while he personally chased the traitor. Choi warned that the monster was coming as Andrew used a tracking skill to follow him. Choi attacked the human fighters and told his allies to hold on while he handled the mobs. Andrew questioned if stalling was really his plan, but Choi explained that they should avoid direct combat, keep dodging, and use the beast to drain stamina and block attacks. Andrew angrily chased Choi while Roger observed that the cowardly tactics were still buying time. A human warrior charged Choi with killing intent, but Choi noticed his simple movements and struck him down. A level-up message appeared, and Choi realized the enemy fell too easily. Soon after, his magic control improved and he began synchronizing with his magi, causing a temporary transformation. Roger felt he had reached his limit and knew the beast could not last much longer either. Andrew mocked Choi and Roger and boasted about his high level, believing that killing the beast would push him to level 1000. They clashed repeatedly while Roger kept dodging and enduring the attacks. Roger then used a binding magic that created many chains and remembered Choi explaining his risky second plan to steal the final hit and level up. Roger doubted the plan but Choi insisted that even a 1% chance was worth betting everything on. Andrew laughed at the binding skill, but Roger warned him that they also had a hero who could level up. Choi suddenly appeared behind Andrew in a strange transformed state and struck him with a blow that shook the ground. Choi leveled up again and Roger realized he arrived at the perfect moment. Choi praised Roger and confidently declared that Andrew would now be beaten one-sidedly. Andrew unleashed powerful sword techniques, but Choi blocked them, countered with speed and force, and knocked Andrew to the ground. Andrew, badly wounded, was confused by Choi's strength and wondered if he was really a demon. Choi stepped forward and explained that he had always fought enemies stronger than himself and learned that levels were only numbers. Andrew, desperate and shaken, shouted that Choi was also a hero and claimed they should be on the same side. Choi suddenly leveled up again and screamed that he was about to die from exhaustion. Roger checked on him and forced him to drink a red potion that tasted awful. Angel explained it was a high-grade healing potion taken from dead heroes who dropped all their items. Choi felt confused and complained that heroes in this world felt more like villains since killing other heroes gave rewards with no penalty. Roger replied that right and wrong depended on perspective, and told Choi not to judge everything by human standards. Choi jokingly asked if Roger was coming after him, but Roger shut him up and told him to rest. Roger explained that he had requested backup before communication was cut. Soon a strong pressure shook the ground and a captain arrived through a portal. They were teleported back to the Demon King Army 3rd Legion at the Black Obsidian Fortress. Choi was shocked to see the place like his home. Tension rose as Hyan argued she was not a traitor, while the commander angrily declared she would crush anyone siding with the Demon King. As the situation escalated, the demon Uzgaze appeared with a message from the Demon King asking them to stop. The commander questioned how the Demon King knew so quickly and suspected she had been tested, while Uzgaze calmly dismissed the idea. The commander stepped forward and admitted she might have overreacted, speaking bitterly about saving Rotak, being punished, and staying under house arrest for 100 years. She questioned if saving Rotak was truly a mistake, which caused the captain to step in and beg everyone to stop. The commander calmed down and ended the matter, asking Uzgaze to thank his nephew. Later Choi reflected that the Demon King army was also full of conflict. The saint asked if he truly planned to remain in the Demon King army, and Choi admitted he had no place in human society anymore after gaining horns and demonic power. He also mentioned that most heroes they fought acted strangely, with empty eyes and no emotions. The saint explained that the Holy Empire relied heavily on heroes and had many secrets about their strength and growth, while the Drasen Empire strongly opposed heroes. The captain then arrived and informed Choi and the saint that they had been summoned by Lady Hemis. In Hemis' office, the commander calmly explained their next mission, which was a delivery task to install a device that blocked teleportation. She described it as protection against assassins and said the device could only be made by the 2nd Legion. She assigned one of them as her envoy and the other as the envoy personal physician, saying this trip would repay her protection. She also promised to assign a skilled guide to support them. Uzgaze noted that Lotark was absent again for the emergency meeting, but Doritus said it was not mandatory and only annoying. Hyan dismissed the absence, saying Lotark would have just complained anyway, and the meeting began. Tigrid introduced the topic about Commander Hemis, explaining that she had hosted a large event without notice, which allowed human forces to strike, causing many deaths and injuries. Hemis had also attacked the 4th Division commander without authorization, so the meeting aimed to discuss disciplinary action. Hemis defended herself, saying the attack happened because someone leaked information and that finding the real traitor should be prioritized. Tigrid challenged her, but Hemis insisted she was only focusing on the traitor. Outside the meeting room, Uzgaze commented that the meeting was a mess because both sides were too emotional. Hyan wondered if Hemis and the Demon King could reconcile, but Doritus said it was unlikely and warned that future conflicts would force everyone to choose sides. Meanwhile, Choi arrived at the 2nd Division Demon Magic Tower and was recognized by the guards, who escorted him to the commander. In Lotark's office, he expressed surprise that a human could use demonic energy and even physically transform into a demon. When Choi arrived, Lotark warned him that the process would hurt, and Choi endured the pain. Lotark praised Choi for his evolution, but warned that his body was rapidly demonizing and he would likely die within 3 months. He explained that so far only non-essential areas had transformed, but soon vital organs like the heart and lungs would be affected, causing instant death. Choi protested, saying he felt fine, but Lotark insisted and bound the truth with the demon's pact. The saint tried to intervene and heal Choi, but Lotark explained that holy power could not stop demonic transformation once it progressed, which was why the 3-month estimate was accurate. Choi was forced to make a difficult choice. Meanwhile, in the 2nd Division male dorm, Angel worried about Choi, noting he was terminally ill. The only doctor was a mad scientist, and he might have to sign a risky contract. Choi said they had delayed the signing for now but wondered if there was any other treatment besides experiments. Roiger suggested contacting Hemis to mediate, reasoning that even the 2nd Division commander might have to follow her guidance due to the hierarchy among commanders. A guard announced that Choi and the 3rd Division captain had arrived. Lotark allowed them in and asked about the glowing ball Choi was holding. Roiger explained it was a communication crystal, and Lotark was shocked. Commander Hemis spoke through the crystal and asked Lotark to add terms to his pact, promising to heal Choi, not harm him, not alter his body without consent, and ensure he survives until the contract ends. Lotark protested, questioning why he had to go so far for a single human. Hemis reminded him of everything she had done for him over the centuries, including saving him and supporting his rise as a division commander. She ordered him to understand and sign the pact. Lotark angrily demanded a new communication crystal, furious at how Hemis and Choi were speaking to him. Uzgaze noted that Lotark was absent again for the emergency meeting, but Doritus said it was not mandatory and only annoying. Hyan dismissed the absence, saying Lotark would have just complained anyway, and the meeting began. Tigrid introduced the topic about Commander Hemis, explaining that she had hosted a large event without notice, which allowed human forces to strike, causing many deaths and injuries. Hemis had also attacked the 4th Division commander without authorization, so the meeting aimed to discuss disciplinary action. Hemis defended herself, saying the attack happened because someone leaked information and that finding the real traitor should be prioritized. Tigrid challenged her, but Hemis insisted she was only focusing on the traitor. Outside the meeting room, Uzgaze commented that the meeting was a mess because both sides were too emotional. Hyan wondered if Hemis and the Demon King could reconcile, but Dorotis said it was unlikely and warned that future conflicts would force everyone to choose sides. Meanwhile, Choi arrived at the 2nd Division Demon Magic Tower and was recognized by the guards, who escorted him to the commander. In Lotark's office, he expressed surprise that a human could use demonic energy and even physically transform into a demon. When Choi arrived, Lotark warned him that the process would hurt, and Choi endured the pain. Lotark praised Choi for his evolution, but warned that his body was rapidly demonizing and he would likely die within 3 months. He explained that so far only non-essential areas had transformed, but soon vital organs like the heart and lungs would be affected, causing instant death. Choi protested, saying he felt fine, but Lotark insisted and bound the truth with the demon's pact. The saint tried to intervene and heal Choi, but Lotark explained that holy power could not stop demonic transformation once it progressed, which was why the 3-month estimate was accurate. Choi was forced to make a difficult choice. Meanwhile, in the 2nd Division male dorm, Angel worried about Choi, noting he was terminally ill, the only doctor was a mad scientist, and he might have to sign a risky contract. Choi said they had delayed the signing for now but wondered if there was any other treatment besides experiments. Roiger suggested contacting Hemis to mediate, reasoning that even the 2nd Division commander might have to follow her guidance due to the hierarchy among commanders. A guard announced that Choi and the 3rd Division captain had arrived. Lotark allowed them in and asked about the glowing ball Choi was holding. Roiger explained it was a communication crystal, and Lotark was shocked. Commander Hemis spoke through the crystal and asked Lotark to add terms to his pact, promising to heal Choi, not harm him, not alter his body without consent, and ensure he survives until the contract ends. Lotark protested, questioning why he had to go so far for a single human. Hemis reminded him of everything she had done for him over the centuries, including saving him and supporting his rise as a division commander. She ordered him to understand and sign the pact. Lotark angrily demanded a new communication crystal, furious at how Hemis and Choi were speaking to him. Choi asked if he could leave, but the commander warned him that Rotak was likely only giving half-hearted treatment and would kick him out soon. She explained that he needed to drink Rotak's precious magic essence to absorb it. Choi worried it would kill him, but the commander reminded him that the demon's pact protected him and that Rotak, being a great doctor, would not let him die. In the present, Angel asked if he was okay, and Choi said it was not as bad as he expected, though the taste was awful. He suddenly spat blood, and Roiger explained that the concentrated magic from an ancient beast was naturally painful and dangerous for a human. Choi complained he should have been warned, but Roiger said it was common sense. Later, Choi woke up in the office of the 2nd Corps commander. Angel told him he had been cared for by the White Rat for 4 days and nights and asked how his body felt. Choi asked about his body, and the commander entered, greeting him and noting that he had recovered well and become much stronger than she had expected. Choi suddenly noticed something strange on his hand and panicked. Lotark explained that it was the ancient beast's magic settling into his body and that he was gaining the trait of an indestructible body. The commander joked that she felt jealous about such a valuable gain. Lotark declared that the treatment was complete and asked to destroy the pact, which the commander allowed since it only covered the treatment. Lotark warned that she would regret this choice, but the commander calmly said she looked forward to seeing how it would turn out. Later at Raidrun's training grounds, Choi trained with the captain and felt that he was finally getting used to his body. Even so, the captain easily overpowered him. Choi felt discouraged despite everyone saying he had grown stronger. His status showed massive growth as an SSS class hero at a high level. The captain reassured him that his growth speed was the fastest he had ever seen, and that he simply needed time to fully adapt. Choi admitted he still relied on help in real battles, but the captain told him not to rush and promised he would get his chance. Choi smiled and vowed to show his best next time. The scene then shifted to the Demon King Army's 2nd Corps, where guards rushed to prepare weapons and lock away chimeras. Lotark was informed that all preparations were complete. He declared that it was time to move out and swore to crush both the arrogant 3rd Corps commander and the cunning human, taking everything for himself. A sudden blast shook the ground behind Choi as an alarm announced an attack from the Skeben clan and the invasion of the 2nd Legion. Choi recalled that the Skeben clan looked like rats, were small and weak in combat, but very clever. Elsewhere, Hyun realized their power was overwhelming. Guards reported that the castle wall had collapsed because the fortress was not fully repaired. Lotark ordered the chimeras to advance first and commanded Gaeldeo to capture Choi, while he went to face the third and fourth commanders himself. Choi ran in anger, certain that Lotark would cause trouble, but the captain told him to stay calm. Choi asked what they should do next. The captain decided to first gather their scattered troops, and then assigned Choi a mission to find and eliminate Commander Gaeldeo, Lotark's most trusted aide. He admitted that such an enemy would normally be his responsibility, but said he trusted the strength Choi had gained. Choi nodded with a confident smile and accepted the mission. He ran through the battlefield with Saint by his side and told her that the captain had ordered her to come along. He explained that her divine power alone was a threat to demons and focused on finding Gaeldeo. Soon, Gaeldeo appeared and announced himself. Choi sensed that the commander was stronger than expected and felt unsure if he could win. As enemy beasts attacked, Choi told Saint to move away. Gaeldeo tried to finish him in one strike, but Choi realized his reinforced body no longer felt pain and charged forward. Gaeldeo boasted about the Second Legion technology and called his allies. More chimeras swarmed in, forcing Saint to release a burst of divine power to hold them back. She warned that she could not use it often, but her help turned the tide. Choi thanked her and pressed the attack. Gaeldeo was shocked by Choi's strength, but Choi mocked the experiments of the Second Legion and struck him down. Gaeldeo fell defeated, leaving Choi surprised by how much stronger he had become. Saint rushed to check on him, and Choi assured her he was fine while asking about Ms. Abelson. Elsewhere, the commander confronted Lotark and Hyun on the battlefield. Lotark declared that he was ready to face the third commander and had even brought the fourth commander along. The commander mocked his cowardice, but Lotark did not care and swore to defeat her and surpass her in that moment. Lotark tells Park Hyuna that they should work together to defeat the third corps commander. Hyuna suddenly refuses and says she is hungry. She decides to leave and go home to cook ramen instead of fighting. Before leaving, she says that situations like this will happen often and everyone will need to choose a side between the third corps commander and the Demon King. She also tells Judong that he now owes her a favor and that there should be no bad feelings between them. After Hyuna leaves, the commander mocks Lotark and says his backup is gone. The commander claims that Hyuna actually sided with her and revealed Lotark's plan. She asks Lotark if he still wants to continue. Lotark says it does not matter. He activates a device on his chest and his arm turns into iron armor. He declares that he will show the path he has walked for the past 100 years. Later, the scene shifts to Hyuna watching from afar with Choi. Hyuna says she came because she was worried Choi might die, but she sees that he has grown much stronger. Choi asks why she is not fighting. Hyuna explains that the commander told her not to interfere, so she decided to just observe. When Choi asks who will win, Hyuna says that Rotak prepared more than expected, but he still cannot defeat Hemis. Commander Hemis releases a powerful aura and faces Lotark directly. Lotark demands that she fight seriously and declares his pride as the second corps commander and leader of the Skeben clan. Hemis calmly says she has no reason to try hard because she is going to win anyway, and their mana collides. Hemis tells Lotark that Park Hyuna abandoned him and that the weapons he trained for 100 years are now useless. Lotark admits this is true but says he will not back down today. He attacks with everything he has, but Hemis blocks him with a shield and praises how much stronger he has become compared to the past. Hemis then takes her turn and uses a powerful dark magic technique. Lotark recognizes it too late and is badly wounded. He calls her Lady Hemis and questions whether he is still weak and pitiful in her eyes. Memories of his past return, where he once admired her and promised to become strong, and when she warned him that power means nothing if the user is weak. In the present, Hemis reflects on how time changes people and breaks even strong bonds. She says that fighting him was a little fun and thanks him for it. She places her hand on Lotark, defeats him completely, and tells him to rest in peace. After the battle, Commander Hemis decides to move because the current base is too damaged to repair or live in. Choi agrees with her decision. When asked where they are going, Hemis says they will move to Gardrak Castle, which is the base of the 8th Division. The captain is shocked, but Hemis says she has already decided and orders him to write a letter telling the 8th Division commander to leave immediately. While walking, the captain wonders why Hemis chose the 8th Division. Choi asks what is wrong with it, and the captain explains that Gardrak Castle is next to human territory and is a dangerous frontline battlefield. Choi says the commander there must be skilled if the castle has not fallen. The captain disagrees and reminds him of Hemmern Fortress, where they first met. That fortress fell under the command of Grat, who is also the commander of the 8th Division. Even so, Grat managed to protect Gardrak Castle during the chaos, though it is unclear how he did it. The scene then shifts to Gardrak Castle. Grat becomes furious after hearing the order to vacate the castle for the third corps. He suspects that Hemis has started to doubt him and says he has no choice now. Grat then contacts someone through a magic ball, introduces himself as the 8th Division commander, and says he has an urgent proposal to make. The scene moves to the Holy See, where the Emperor learns that Enro has failed after Lord Geffen. He realizes that Choi Hyunseok is once again the cause. Erland reports that Choi Hyunseok is growing at an unusually fast pace but suggests focusing on the war with the Drasen Empire first since Choi is still only one person. The Emperor disagrees and explains that Choi Hyunseok is a hero, not a normal resident of the world. He believes heroes are extremely dangerous if left to grow and insists that Choi must be eliminated before he becomes unstoppable. He then asks if there is any new information from their informant. Erland says the informant has offered to cooperate in killing Choi Hyunseok, the Red Nightmare, and the Gourmet all at once. The Emperor finds this tempting and notes that the Third Corps is moving its base to Gardrak Castle under the 8th Division, which may be part of the plan. Erland admits he delayed reporting this because Grat demanded 10,000 lives, the return of several territories, and a 5-year non-aggression pact in exchange for his help. They suspect Grat is trying to gain power and possibly become the Second Corps commander by using the conflict between Hemis and the Demon King. Erland objects to sacrificing so many lives, but the Emperor coldly agrees to the deal. He says this is a rare chance to remove multiple threats and place an insider within the Demon King's forces. He declares that even far more lives would be acceptable for this goal and orders thorough preparations. The Emperor then commands that legends from every region be summoned, calling this the final battle. The story returns to Gardrak Castle, where Grat politely agrees to vacate the castle if Lady Hemis wishes. However, he warns that the human army nearby is moving suspiciously and seems to be preparing for a large siege. He plans to attack them in small groups before they gather and asks for help until Hemis's main forces arrive. The captain agrees to support him and asks if the High Priest's group can come along. Grat shows doubt about their usefulness but says he will assign them where needed and tells everyone to rest for the night. Later, Choi begins to think deeply about what it truly means to be a hero. He feels uneasy about fighting humans despite being called a hero. He recalls earlier talks about a hero's duty to defeat the Demon King and protect humans, but now believes that may not be the full truth. He wonders if heroes exist only for humans or if they are always righteous. The saint explains that ancient texts say heroes exist for the happiness of the majority. Choi questions whether this majority includes beings other than humans. She agrees that humans often assume their own happiness equals the world's happiness, but that may not be true. Choi reflects on this and realizes that protecting all living beings is a much broader and more complex responsibility. The saint says that this uncertainty is exactly why the world needs a special hero like Choi. Choi keeps thinking about the idea of happiness for the absolute majority. Later at the rear mess hall of Gardrak Castle, Choi feels uneasy after arriving as ordered. He notices that the assignments feel wrong. Raidrun and Roiger have been sent to very dangerous areas while Choi and the saint are placed somewhere very safe. Angel thinks it might be because the saintess is with them, but Choi points out that all the strong manpower was taken away and he was left guarding a mess hall despite being strong enough to fight at commander level. Choi decides something is wrong and chooses to leave, saying the dog Bobo can guard the place alone. The saint decides to go with him and insists she can keep up by using divine power. Choi agrees and they leave together. Guards stop them and say the division commander ordered them to stay. Choi makes an excuse, but the guards refuse to let them go. Choi realizes they are being forcefully detained and feels that something terrible is about to happen. He worries about Raidrun's safety. At the same time elsewhere, Raidrun is fighting and being praised for holding off 2 enemies despite one of them being a rookie hero. A powerful magic attack is launched, and the captain realizes this was an ambush and that there is a traitor within the Third Corps. Back at the castle, Choi and the saint run as guards shout that the hero and saintess have escaped. They leave the dog behind since it belongs to the general. As Choi runs, he prays that Raidrun will survive. The captain realizes that 2 heroes and many knights armed with magic tools are being used just to capture one person. He says this is excessive, but the enemy hero replies that it makes sense because the gourmet values him the most. The captain warns them that their plan will fail. The enemy decides to pull Bion back and orders the knights to hold their positions so they can slowly wear the captain down. The captain responds by ordering his own forces to intercept and buy time. His aura explodes outward, showing the power of the Crimson Nightmare, and the pressure alone shakes the ground and sends enemies flying. The enemy heroes try to stay calm and shout orders to overwhelm him with numbers and weapons, comparing it to hunting a wild beast. The captain counters with a powerful martial art technique that knocks more enemies away and slams one hero into the ground. Byron angrily charges back into the fight, mocking the captain for being arrogant because of his strength. The captain notices that the young hero has recovered faster than expected. As Byron attacks, he shouts at the captain for not staying where he was told, and the fierce battle continues. The captain blocks Baron's sword and declares that he cannot afford to lose. The clash shakes the ground and shocks Byron, who realizes the captain is far stronger than expected for a corps commander. The heroes complain that their intelligence was completely wrong, while the captain worries that he has already used too much demonic energy. The heroes see their chance and order the 2nd Division to rush in. Byron charges forward as well, angrily shouting back at his ally. The captain uses his technique again, but this time the heroes attack from all sides with mana harpoons. The weapons absorb demonic energy, leaving the captain badly wounded and bleeding. The heroes believe the battle is over and prepare to capture him. Byron demands to deliver the final blow and mocks the captain, saying the feared Crimson Nightmare is no different from any other demon. As the captain struggles to speak, Byron taunts him. In a final burst of power, the captain roars his true title and releases overwhelming pressure, killing Byron. The remaining hero is furious at Baron's death but assumes that the captain's last attack was his final strength. He orders the survivors to regroup and reset their formation. At that moment, Choi suddenly appears and smashes his fist into the hero's face. Filled with rage, Choi declares that he will kill every one of them. Choi arrives at the battlefield and the captain is shocked to see him. Choi explains that something felt wrong so he came to help and asks if the captain is alright. The captain admits he is badly hurt but thanks Choi for coming. The remaining hero realizes that Choi is the demon faction's hero he has only heard rumors about. Seeing that his soldiers are gone, he decides to use his final move. He activates a divine power, surrounding himself with a powerful barrier and calling on the gods to punish evil. The pressure shakes the ground. The captain explains to Choi that this is a divine invocation, a dangerous power even holy knights struggle to control. The hero boasts that this is true divine power, far beyond ordinary techniques. The captain adds that divine invocation gives overwhelming strength but always ends in the user's death. The hero confirms this and charges forward, saying he will kill them even if it costs his life. Choi blocks the attack but still feels the shock run through his body. The hero declares that divine power and demonic energy are opposites and mocks Choi for no longer seeming human. The captain tells Choi to keep holding the enemy back. Choi is pushed back by the pressure and realizes how badly hurt Redrun is compared to himself. His body feels numb and crushed inside, and he understands that Redrun must be suffering even more. Choi notices that the enemy hero is burning through divine power quickly and will die once it runs out. He considers stalling for time or provoking the hero to overuse his power, but worries about how long Redrun can endure. The enemy hero admits that his divine power is fading and that his vision is already gone, but he says it does not matter because he can sense demonic energy. He asks what Choi wants to say before dying. Choi realizes that the hero is completely blind except for sensing demonic energy. He loudly calls out to Abelson, signaling a plan. The scene shifts to earlier on a cliff, where the saint watches the battle and fears both fighters may die. A surviving enemy hero suddenly grabs her and tries to capture her, believing no heroes are left to protect her. The saint struggles with fear but decides not to call for help, knowing Choi is already fighting desperately. She gathers her resolve and realizes she must act on her own without becoming a burden. Determined to be useful and protect others, she fights back and kills the hero, proving that she can stand on her own. Grant angrily demands to know why he is being attacked, saying he already handed over the Crimson Nightmare as promised and insisting that he is an ally. A human hero curses him and blames him for the deaths of 2 heroes, accusing him of using dirty tricks against the Holy Empire. Grant is shocked to hear that 2 heroes were defeated and becomes confused about what is really happening. Suddenly a massive explosion shakes the ground and Commander Hemis appears. The human heroes panic and suspect that the gathering was a trap. Grat proudly claims that he lured the human army there, and says they are the main force of nearby troops. Hemis coldly notes that even someone useless like Grat managed to do something helpful and treats the situation like a feast. The sky darkens as a huge fiery mass forms above, causing terror among the human soldiers. Hemis unleashes overwhelming power and wipes out the entire army at once. Grat praises her as an unmatched legend, but Hemis is annoyed by his words. She then cuts Grat down without hesitation, revealing that he was the sole mole behind the chaos. She says she had suspected more conspirators but realizes he was simply reckless and foolish. Deciding she waited long enough, Hemis leaves to finish the remaining work. At Gardra Castle, Commander Hemis announces a troop reorganization. Redrun is placed in charge of Grat's former 8th Division, with Roiger as his deputy. Choi Hyun-seok is appointed as commander of the Legion's direct regiment. Choi jokes about expecting a lower rank, but Hemis explains this is a reward and says he will serve without subordinates for now. She hints that he may not need any in the future. Modem then enters and is introduced as the new corps commander. Hemis says she has urgent business and leaves. Later in Abelson's room, Choi talks with the Saint about her actions during the battle. He is surprised by how decisively she acted, and she admits she realized she had been relying too much on others. She says she is willing to keep fighting if she is still needed and mentions that she can use powers similar to divine descent, even if her body is not fully trained. Choi jokes that she might become stronger than him. She replies that raw strength is not everything and points out that Choi always wins with clever tactics. Angel adds that Choi is already very strong, explaining that a battalion commander in the Demon King's army is an elite position that human heroes are sent to defeat. She notes that there are fewer than 1,000 hero-level fighters on the continent. Choi reflects on what that means for human society. The scene then shifts to the outskirts of Gartland at Benedict Village. Commander Hemis confronts the people there and coldly declares that she will spare their lives for now, but starting today, places of the Holy Empire will be erased one by one. The villagers tremble and pray as she smirks, signaling the beginning of a new and brutal phase. 5 centuries ago, the continent was in chaos because of a war between the Drazen Empire and a coalition of smaller kingdoms resisting its conquest. During the fighting, a new land appeared with a massive pillar of light. People believed it was the lost ancient nation of Burlington, known for its advanced magic, which had disappeared 1,000 years earlier. Everyone thought that whoever controlled this land and its magic would dominate the continent, so each nation sent exploration teams hoping for gold and glory. However, instead of finding Burlington's ruins, they discovered a hostile race called the Demons, who had a strong desire for conquest. Facing this powerful enemy, the Drazen Empire and the coalition of kingdoms put aside their differences and united to protect humanity, starting a long war against the demons. The demons had advantages in physical strength, aggressiveness, and their innate magical power called magia, which initially gave them the upper hand. As humanity struggled, members of the clergy, healers, priests, and non-combatants joined the fight using holy power, which proved very effective against demons. This sparked the spread of religion across the continent. The Holy Kingdom of Gartran had already established Dusis as its state religion, and neighboring nations soon unified with Gartran, forming the Holy Empire. 2 centuries later, faith and the growing number of battle-ready clergy, combined with the appearance of friendly heroes from other worlds, helped humanity reach equality with the demons and eventually dominate them completely. The key figure in humanity's victory was the reigning pontiff of that era, known as the First Legend. Using his overwhelming power, alongside trained holy knights and otherworldly heroes, he drove the demons to the far edges of the continent. At a continental conference in the Kingdom of Circe, the Emperor explains that humanity enjoyed a short peace after the Demon War, but a new threat has appeared in the form of man-eaters. He says this happened because the demons were never fully destroyed in the past. While rebuilding cities was necessary, he believes the nations are now stable enough to unite again. He proposes a new holy war led by the Holy Empire of Gartran and asks all nations to join for the sake of mankind. Later, Erland gives a public speech, warning that demons are once again destroying cities and threatening everyday life. He introduces a priest from Benedict who tearfully tells how his entire village was wiped out. Erland uses this tragedy to show how serious the situation is and announces that a holy war has been declared. Legendary figures and heroes from many nations have agreed to join, but Erland says this is still not enough and calls on all citizens to support the war. The crowd is stirred into shouting for the demons' destruction. Afterward, the Emperor privately criticizes Cardinal Erland for repeated failures, including the deaths of 2 heroes and the failed capture of the Crimson Nightmare. He orders Erland to hand over his position within 3 days and commands that his property be seized and his family eliminated. The scene then shifts to the demon's side, where the captain confronts Commander Hemis about attacking a human city alone. Hemis calmly explains that her actions were deliberate and meant for the future of the demon race. By forcing humanity to reveal their strongest legends, she hopes to eliminate at least one of them, and by time. When asked what that time is for, Hemis says it is for the new hope that has arrived to grow stronger. Later that night, Commander Hemis wonders if Redrun truly accepted her decision. Modem replies that Redrun is simply very straightforward, then asks if she still has no plan to work with the Demon King, warning that her path is extremely dangerous. Hemis says her relationship with the Demon King is already over and that even if it could be repaired, the cost would be too high. She reflects on the past and admits that she once believed the strong should ignore the deaths of the weak and push forward without hesitation. She explains that she and the Demon King used to share this belief, but at some point he changed and began avoiding war. Unable to accept his cautious attitude, she clashed with him and eventually left after harshly criticizing him. Looking back, she feels some regret because she is now making a choice she would never have made before. Modem quietly admits that he also realized too late that he wanted to protect someone. Hemis wonders if things could have been different if she had understood the Demon King sooner. Later, Hemis speaks with Frisch and thanks him for his service. He reveals his true identity by dropping his priest disguise, explaining that years of acting as a cardinal made disguises easy. Hemis gives him items to deliver to Redrun and Modem, saying she prefers not to give them herself to avoid leaving emotional attachments behind. Frisch accepts the task and leaves. She worried about Choi Hyun-seok's safety and asked him not to die. He was shocked and confused. She admitted she was worried because she didn't want to be left behind. The next day at Castle Gardrak, Choi was disturbed from his rest and questioned the captain about the situation. The captain warned him to leave because the human army would attack the castle the next day. Choi insisted on staying, but the captain explained that their main goal was Lady Hemis's safety and that he could not protect Choi alone. A letter revealed the history of the continent and the secret pact between the humans and demons. The writer refused to serve and was exiled to the Black Star. The letter instructed Redrun to defend the castle during the human offensive and promised support for his future leadership. The writer made arrangements for Choi Hyun-seok to leave the Demon King's army safely. The captain told Choi to leave with the Saintess. Choi was confused about the sudden events. Frisch introduced himself and explained that he would accompany Choi and the Saintess while they disguised themselves as mercenaries and blended into human society. Choi asked where they were going, and Frisch said they were heading to the kingdom of Marriott because the Holy Empire was too dangerous. The captain thought about how many demons had died meaninglessly and decided to change that. Roiger came to tell Lord Redrun it was time to leave. The captain gave a speech to all the demons, encouraging them to fight and die for their freedom and prove themselves as proud warriors. Later, the commander decided to join the fight and landed on the ground. She met Basil Scott, a legendary human, and noted that he looked younger, showing she had reached the realm of legends. Basil pointed out the direction of Gatron's command post and challenged her to a fight without interruptions. They both recalled past encounters, with Basil admitting he had been defeated before but now ready to fight differently, moving at incredible speed. The fight continued as she mocked him, saying she saw no big difference yet. He realized their power was evenly matched but noticed attacks coming from both the sky and the ground. She used a powerful magic technique that filled the area with deadly shards. He barely avoided her strikes and rushed forward again, showing clear improvement. She kept pressuring him, warning that one mistake would end everything. Her attack from the ground pierced his body, and she noted he lasted longer than he did 100 years ago. Even so, he revealed a hidden power he had been saving, surprising her. She admitted he had grown stronger but said he was still far from her level. She blocked his attack easily and knocked him away, leaving him badly injured and hopeless. Before finishing him, she made a personal request. She asked him to spare Choi Hyun-seok once if they ever fought. Before he could respond properly, a sudden golden beam killed him. She expressed annoyance at the interruption and turned toward the newly arrived heroes, calling them the legends she had been waiting for along with their followers. Asel decided to intervene because the commander wasn't defeating Basil. The commander considered it harsh between humans but knew eliminating Basil, a Drazen legend, was necessary for the Holy Empire's safety. Asel admitted they had prepared a lot for this fight, and the battle began again. The commander noticed a powerful pillar acting as a barrier, pushing back her magic and weakening her domain. She realized the barrier was supported by holy power and her current shield was only a fraction of her strength. Despite the handicap, she decided to fight harder. Asael rushed at her with his sword, but she dissolved into dark mana and appeared above him, attacking with fiery magic. Asael blocked it, and remained standing, showing his own strength. When the dust cleared, she was surprised that Asael had blocked her attack without a scratch. She realized the holy barrier was absorbing her demonic energy and creating a very strong defensive setup, making the fight much harder than she expected. She thought about how much energy she had already spent and realized she was in the same position as Basil had been before. They clashed many times, with Asael trying to finish the fight, but she raised the shield and continued to fight back. Suddenly, something hit her, and she fell to the ground bleeding, shocking everyone. Asael thought he might have killed her, but she surprised them by regenerating and even swallowing him, showing a technique she borrowed from Baal. She explained that she had only pretended to be defeated and noted the Holy Empire's strength. Morian realized the situation was serious, and ordered the knights to prepare multiple chants to maintain the barrier while she handled the holy power. She noticed the commander was digesting slower than expected, probably because of the barrier, and thought this might be her end. Even so, she felt at peace, knowing her role was done and that the next generation would continue the fight. She prayed, and divine power burst around her, enveloping the commander. Morian thought Asel had acted recklessly after killing the devourer, and worried about the Pope's reaction. She told the knights to return to the captain and ordered that the story of Asel and Basil's deaths be kept secret, honoring them as legends who died valiantly for Gatrin. The scene shifted to the captain standing among defeated knights. Modem praised him, saying most fighters couldn't match him, and predicted the captain would surpass him soon. The captain realized his link with Lady Hemis was cut, and Modem confirmed she was in grave danger. Modem vowed to follow her instructions and train the captain until he became the strongest commander capable of changing the demon race, standing by him in her place. Meanwhile, the emperor declared that Sir Asel, a devoted warrior who fought for nearly 2 centuries, had fallen as a martyr. He honored Asel's sacrifice in defeating the devourer and prayed that his deeds would never be forgotten, expressing deep regret over Asel's death. A priest informed the emperor that Drazen had sent an envoy to Marriott to investigate the devourer's battlefield. The emperor suspected they wanted to uncover the truth about Basil's death and ordered Marriott to secretly reject the request. He asked about Abelson Marriott and Choi Hyun-seok, and the priest said they hadn't been seen during the battle, suspecting the devourer had smuggled Choi out. The emperor ordered a full search for them and warned that anyone hiding them would face divine punishment. Meanwhile, in the carriage, Choi complained about the noise and the others teased him about missing the demon army. They discussed the hair dye experiment, and everyone admired the results. The saint revealed she was a real princess of Marriott but preferred to keep her identity secret and not return to the palace. Choi was surprised but relieved, and Frisch explained that one of the continent's greatest empires was after them. The saint said she might still need to rely on her family if necessary. While walking in the forest, Angel asked Choi what was troubling him. He explained that the hero system had stopped working ever since he crossed into the human world, with glitches and strange quest notifications. Angel suggested it might be because he was an irregular hero, walking a path different from ordinary heroes. Choi teased her about being a depraved user of demonic energy, and she noted that since she hadn't been ordered to abandon him, he was probably doing well. Frisch interrupted, saying they were close to the village near the borderlands. At Kaitan village in the Marriott Kingdom, the saint asked Choi if it was his first time in a human village, and he admitted it was. When the guards stopped them, Frisch introduced them as mercenaries looking for work, warning that the border region was dangerous. Angel joked about the many taxes imposed on the people, and Frisch explained that the Marriott royal family, like many others, exploited fear of war to control the population while benefiting themselves. In the evening, Choi called the saint while she was sitting on a bench. She asked about Frisch and Rahel, and Choi said they were resting at the inn. She admitted she was still upset, not at Frisch but at herself for having nothing to say in an earlier argument. Choi reassured her, and she smiled, sharing an old story about Kaitan village and the legendary hero Dronzer, who had bravely defended the village against demons long ago, disobeying royal orders to protect his people. She reflected on what Lofer might think of the village today. Later, the saint thanked Choi, saying just his presence was comforting. Suddenly, someone shouted about a dead body and missing militia. Choi went to check, noticing something strange about the body and a strong stench with a magic circle. As he investigated, the saint warned him, and a demon appeared behind him.